I would go and see some Inca ruins, you know, and it'd just be beautiful. And you could hike the Inca Trail without booking it or paying anything. You just got a bus up to the pass and got off it and went hiking for a few days across the mountains, came out the other end eating coca leaves, you know. And it was a mix of that and like the next 2 weeks later, I'll be down in Chile in the streets getting tear gassed and water cannons flying around and all this sort of absolute mayhem.
I think Dan is the closest thing I know in all of my years to a real life Indiana Jones.
Nice, that's good.
You like that? That's pretty good.
It's good, yeah.
We've got adventure photographer Dan Milner here with us today. Oh my goodness. This is going to be a banger.
Yeah.
He's set it up, he's teed it up, and now it's over to you to knock it out of the park. And we're going to just sit here.
So Dan, can you just impart wisdom upon us now? That's what we're after, really, yeah.
Yeah. How long have I got? How much wisdom do you need?
Right, you've just come from a speaking gig, is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So what was it? Tell us about that.
That was an Outkit festival, outdoor festival,
okay,
near Sheffield in the Peak District.
Yeah.
So they're a brand that they help me out with clothing.
Okay, cool.
My outdoor endeavours.
Yeah.
So
of which there are many.
There have been quite a lot. Yes.
Yeah.
And so I was doing a talk there on Friday night. It's a real family get together. You know, there's lots of little kids running around, and it's just really actually really good to see. There's so many kids getting excited, and there's like bike schools. Like they set up like pump track things and trick things, teach people how to ride and do little jumps and things. And they're just kids piling around everywhere, like getting under your feet, sort of like hoofing them out the way, left, right, and centre. Like, go on, don't you know who I am? That sort of thing. Get out my way. I've got to get to the coffee stand.
How do you do your intro? I've never
that's a good question.
An intro. Yeah, how do you do your intro in one of these things? You're on stage.
Yeah, I have it. The lights are down.
Yeah,
some sort of like TED talky kind of like music comes up. Yeah. I walk on trip over usually, that sort of thing, and just like headbutt the microphone. I'm like,
I'm thinking like gongs when you come in, dude. Like
gongs,
Nepalese gongs.
Oh yeah, that'd be quite nice. Wouldn't it? A wind chime.
Yeah,
like.
That'd be nice.
But seriously, adventure photographer.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Of many years.
Yeah, a long time now. Yeah.
In fact, within mountain biking, it's your 30th year since your first article of MBUK. Is that correct?
It is, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a long time, dude.
It feels like a long time. There's a lot happened. There's a lot gone under the bridge, isn't there, in that time? 30 years. Yeah, no, I shot a story in Mallorca in 1990. What year are we now? 25.
Yeah. 25, yeah.
1994, I shot a story, and it came out in MBUK the following year, 94. So 30 years ago. No, 95. It came out in 95, 30 years ago, and it was the first story I had in MBUK, which was basically me going to Mallorca with my bike, rocking up to the airline check-in desk. You didn't need a bag back then. You just took your bike, and they looked at it and went, and you go, yeah, it's a bike, and it needs to go on the flight with me. Like, it was free, and you just turned your handlebars around and let your tyres down a bit, and a bloke would come out in a blazer, and a sort of like plus fours, and take your bike and wheel it off and go and hang it up in the bike.
Makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, it does make way more sense.
I think you only get that service now if you play golf.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, they come out and they like sort of cuddle your clubs.
Do they really?
That's not a euphemism.
I always used to feel really jealous of BMX riders. They made BMX bags that were golf bags, and it was cheaper to get golf clubs on, and probably people looked after them more.
Yeah,
that's good.
And
that's
you
great.
Used to be able to put a whole BMX in the.
Well, we did. My mate, we did a trip in 2008. There were 6 of us mates from Chamonix, where I used to live in France, and we went to Colorado, and we were riding 6 days of the Colorado Trail. It's quite a high altitude trail all the way down through Colorado, right? And we just picked off 6 days of that. And each one of us, we did a rent-a-wreck minibus, and we had this single teepee kind of tent that all 6 of us slept in. And so each one of us took a turn to drive the rent-a-wreck. So you got 5 days riding out of the 6 for yourself, and you did 1 day driving.
Yeah.
And after that, we went on to Moab, and he pretzeled it. He wrote off his rear mech, and he pretzeled a wheel, and it was a bit of a nightmare. But he wanted to bring his bike back, so he went and bought a cheap suitcase and binned the other wheel and just packed everything into this suitcase, his whole bike. and it flew it home for free because the airline wanted $200 to bring back a bike back then.
Loophole.
And that gave me an idea for a story one time in Chamonix. There were a few trails in Chamonix that were quite hard to get to, like up the mountain, like 1,000-meter climb up. So we'd got to them, but it's a bit of a ball ache getting to them. You know, it's a lot of carrying your bike and stuff. But there were lifts that accessed them, like old mountain railway trains, and there's one gondola that you weren't allowed to take bikes on, just because, it's not really back then. There wasn't really, just weren't allowed, right? No. No. And so I just thought, this is right. We'll do a story where with A headsets, when A headsets came out, you could just undo the bolts and drop your forks out.
Yeah.
And we just folded the bikes up, and we each had a bag, and then one big rucksack, big like hold-all bag that we put all the wheels in, and we wore flip-flops, and we got on the lifts.
What'd you do with helmets?
And we just hid them in bags, and we just dressed in
Undercover.
T-shirts and flip-flops and shorts. And the lifties were like helping us on with the bags onto these lifts. And then we get up the top and go around the corner and put these bikes back together. Like, hey, yeah, take that, stick it to the man. Yeah.
Mate, it's quite a good. That story alone is quite a good highlight of how much things have changed.
Yeah,
really, innit? Like
Yeah.
when you think about some of your earlier adventures are very different from the world we live in today, right?
Yeah, massively.
I'd like to know about that first one that you did for MBUK, because I think that's a great lift-off point for the episode too. It's like, so 30 years ago, you published your first article in MBUK. What was your life like back then? How come you ended up doing it? What were you doing for a job?
Well, yeah, it's going back a lot, isn't it?
It
was just
remember.
Have a go, yeah. Can we get another coffee and can we get wardrobe? It was to pay for my holiday. I was into mountain bikes. I started mountain biking in '85.
Yeah,
which is,
oh gee,
they didn't really look like they do now, eh?
Yeah.
Quite different. And so '94. Yeah, I was living in Bristol. I'd worked at a bike shop in the middle of Bristol for a bit as a mechanic. And then I was doing like a regular job. I used to work for the Environment Agency. I got a degree in marine biology in the 80s, so I was doing a regular job, like normal stuff, but I was really into mountain biking, and it was like, right, I've got to find a way of paying for my because I was getting paid rubbish at the Environment Agency, and with a degree, it was like 13 grand a year for a investigations technician or something. So anyway, cut a very, very long story short, it was just like, I've got to pay for my holidays on the bike, and I'll try and do that by selling a story. So me and some mates had driven all the way down from Bristol to Italy the year before and raced the Transalp race, which at the time was a 5-day race across bits of the Alps in Italy. It then moved to Germany. So we had raced this race, and I'd done a story for Mountain Biker International magazine back then.
That one.
And I was so excited to have this story come out, and it came out, and it's like, and it was back when magazines back then, they would only print some of the magazine in colour, some of the pages, and some of it was just black and white because it was just cheaper to print like that.
Yeah.
And my story came out in the black and white pages. I was gutted. I was like, how could you crushed me? No. I bounced back though. I and
What do you mean? You coloured it in?
Yeah. Yeah, but I went over the edges. It was like, it's just sort of bled a bit. Like, oh, God. It was nearly the end of my life in publishing. And so I just thought, stuff them. I'm going to MBUK, right? Yeah, I'm switching sides here. So I went to them and offered them this story. And there was hardly anybody doing stories.
I was going to say, how do you pitch it back then?
I think he phoned them. He went to the call box on the corner of the street. It was like dialed. I'm like, hello?
I don't know if you're taking the piss off.
No, it's
his horse.
How else would you do it?
It's too good.
Yeah, road there. I think you called him, and
really, yeah.
I mean, you didn't have email.
Pitched the idea,
nothing like that. I pitched the idea, and
because you're in Bristol.
Or I think I
might. The magazine's going to be there as well, right?
Maybe I just went and did it. But the whole story is basically me with my bike shooting. It's got to be probably the only, or maybe the very first mountain bike story ever shot solely on selfies, because it was just me topless with a really bad old school Giro helmet on, riding my bike, which is just like put my camera on a rock and descend a trail on track stand, counting to 10 in my head or out loud.
Okay, so it's on timer, yeah.
Yeah, on a self timer, and then balance there.
And this is film.
This is film, so you had no idea whether the shot worked.
So you could get home.
Probably most of them didn't.
Yeah, you get home and you get them.
Yeah, you get them developed at Happy Snaps or something.
Oh, how
What
mad
a
is
different
that?
world to think. Like,
It was all slide film.
you
as
came
well.
home
Yeah.
with this idea of publishing something, knowing not even knowing if you got the shots to send to that. That's really
Last year we went back to Mallorca. I've done a film about it. Going back to Mallorca, it's out on the Shimano channels.
Okay.
It's called Sizzle, which is the name of the editor at the time of MBUK called the story Sizzle.
Nice.
Because it's like I start it with a paragraph about sizzling in the sun, and it's like baking and sweating and whatever. And again, I was gutted. I thought I was the bee's knees, you know, just getting a story into some magazines, and then every time I did, they would just shoot you down by like sizzle. Why would you call it sizzle? Who does that?
Picture.
Yeah, I've been sweating away on my own, taking selfies, and you've called it sizzle. You've just undervalued the whole adventure element. So yeah, that's where it started. So it was a way of doing stories.
What was your experience before that of taking photos and stuff?
I just handled a camera a bit, you know, for myself. I travelled around. I backpacked around South America in 1989.
Okay.
I had $1,000 saved up, and I went off to South America with a backpack and a camera, chasing some.
I don't know if people can picture how different, like how unmapped everything is. Like, that's what I always think about these. Like when you talk about that time, because even in my life, when I've been to places when I was younger, and then I've gone back, and it just seems much easier. Everything is easier. I'm not talking about like chairlifts necessarily or stuff like that, but just information. Like I went away before, and it was during internet era, but not smartphone. That alone made it 10 times harder to navigate everything. Everything was way harder.
Yeah, I actually don't remember how we did it. Like 1989, you had a Lonely Planet guidebook, and that was all you had. And then you bump into other travellers in various hotspots, like in Cusco in Peru, you know, near the Inca Trail. Although at that time, the Sendero Luminoso were raging in Peru, and they basically executed every Western traveller they ever came across. So on the flight into South America on that trip, it flew in, and I think it hopped down into Ecuador first and then jumped across to Peru, and every other tourist on the flight got off in Ecuador. I was the only one on the plane going to Peru. Like, oh my God. Wow. I remember walking around Lima, and you could hear bombs going off, and it was pretty nuts. But I went there kind of looking for trouble.
Really?
A bit mad, really political, and there was a lot of left-wing kind of fight back against dictators going on there at the time, and I went sort of looking for it. So
what draws you to that? Why?
Yeah, it's a great question.
I'm just I don't know, I'm just a old lefty politico, really, championing the underdog and all that sort of thing, really, isn't it? So but it was nuts. Like there were like mad, like far right dictators who'd been in power for like 16 years sort of thing, and they were building up to like try and get rid of them. It was a mad era.
Yeah, I bet.
I mean,
so
feels like history's repeating itself.
You say you were getting into trouble. You were yeah, right. You were reading up on these things and finding them interesting, and just wanting to see it for your own.
Yeah, then you had Chile. Different countries were going through different stuff, and I was aware of what was going on. And so it's a mad mix. That trip was a mad mix of like traveling. I would go and see some Inca ruins, you know. And it'd just be beautiful, and you could hike the Inca Trail without booking it or paying anything. You just got a bus up to the pass and got off it, and went hiking for a few days across the mountains. Came out the other end eating coca leaves, you know, and it was a mix of that and like the next 2 weeks later, I'll be down in Chile in the streets getting tear gassed and water cannons flying around and all this sort of absolute mayhem. And I think that. And
you weren't documenting it.
Well, I did photograph, but it was all on film, so you were really careful with how many pictures you took. You couldn't just be firing off stuff, because I had to carry the films for months afterwards. You couldn't get rid of them. You couldn't ship them home or anything like that. So you're walking around with a backpack full of films, 10 rolls of film that you've shot so far, sort of thing. It is a completely different era. But I think the sort of risk taking that I did then, which, you're young. Like, I don't know, what was I at that age? I can't even count anymore, but quite young, 22 or something. Your perception of risk when you're young, because of your hormone balance, is quite different to when you're like my age now. It's like, I looked at this chair suspiciously when I sat down. It's like, is that really am I going to end up on the floor and hurt my back?
Am I going to have a fall?
Am I going to be in physio for the rest of the week? Who am I going to sue?
So you were quite risk, not the opposite of averse. You didn't care. You were really
risk
up for
embracing, I think. Yeah. You just weren't looking for some trouble. You didn't go looking for trouble. You just were willing to, and I think that just shaped how I perceive a lot of the adventures that I've done subsequently to some really sort of scary sounding places, because I guess it gave me the confidence to feel like, you can survive that. And you learn all the way through what is real danger and what isn't, whether you as a tourist or as a traveler are actually threatened by this. And most of the time you're not. Most of these places that actually have sort of conflicts going nearby. I mean, I can't, this is a very, very big generalization. Don't get me wrong. You're not actually, you're very rarely the target of that stuff. You could be an innocent bystander that gets caught up. This has gone really crazily deep, hasn't it?
It's good though. We actually tried to do a trip to Mexico.
Yeah,
and bring people along, and we didn't have.
That's not going to help.
We didn't have. We'll edit that out. We didn't have any takers. We didn't have any takers on it. We didn't have any takers, and I haven't travelled to all of these places, and certainly not places within conflict where you're really, in theory, in danger or around actual danger. But like, to me, it was not. I thought everyone wanted to experience Mexico, like see what it's like.
And how good was your trip though?
Oh, I've had endless, amazing trips, and I've never felt in danger. No one wants anything off me.
No, Mexico was the same.
Yeah.
But you might have got the shit.
That's a big danger.
Yeah, that's probably the only danger.
I think I thought about the people's perception of it more. I think I'm like a really watered down version of you. I would say I've like been to places probably not as half as crazy as you have, but it is like, the perception of danger does change, doesn't it? When you go to these,
absolutely, and that's actually what's good about travel. I think that's why I'm still an advocate for travel, because it gives you a more of a balanced view. I mean, it doesn't always. Some people can travel to a place and come back with reinforced stereotypes and fears and whatnot. But actually, if you've got a bit of an open mind and you're willing to wave and smile at people, you can break some barriers and actually come back educated.
My friend's dad was, we all knew he had travelled, and there was something about him. You just knew he had travelled, and I always looked up to him for it.
Yeah.
He was just like not that easy to sort of fluster. He was just like the opposite of small town. He was just like, don't worry about it. It's all good.
Cool.
Yeah. I can't say I don't get flustered. I do get flustered.
You get flustered by the chair, dude.
I did get flustered, actually. I thought there was a whoopee cushion under there. I was like, oh yeah, this one.
We might use that one.
Here we go.
Can you kind of pinpoint before that trip, one of the first trips or something, like when that sense of adventure kind of presented itself as being a young person? Did you grow up with it? Do you got family that travel or?
Yeah, I think so. Well, my grandparents, they lived in Argentina in the end of the 60s, and I remember as a little kid, them coming back and coming to see my mum and stuff, and sort of regaling me with stories of kind of crazy adventure stuff in Argentina, which was just their life. It wasn't really adventurous per se. It's like.
That'll do it.
And I think my granddad was just quite good at making up stories. It was all stories of bandits and things in the north of Argentina. There were no bandits in northern Argentina. What's he talking about? He'd been watching too many spaghetti westerns. That's the thing.
So when did you combine? You didn't combine mountain bikes and travel and adventure straight away? You were already traveling around in South America. When did you combine?
No, the mountain biking. So I started mountain biking in 1985 when I was at university in Swansea, and I got there and in one of the windows was I can't even remember the brand, Chinelli, I think it was. Yeah, Chinelli bike, which is obviously a road bike. It had all those road bike brands that just had gone, we'll make a mountain bike. This is all happening, isn't it? And it was all multicoloured and probably had like 14 gears or something. And I just went, that's amazing. And I think the mountain bike thing, it lends itself to adventure because immediately, especially back then, it was mountain biking's just changed completely. We now have all these different genres of mountain biking, but back then it was just like, this is freedom. I remember getting a bike and then riding across a field on it and going, I've just ridden across a field. Like, claiming it, like, wait, with my Madison eye blades that are about this big.
I named this field Dan,
and I'm claiming it. I've got a flag, and I remember like coming. I think I was back at my mum's place. I grew up in Woburn Sands. I was born in Luton, and I grew up in Woburn Sands. I moved there when I was 7, and it was rode across a field. Took a shortcut across some flat field in Milton Keynes. And got back to my mum's house, and like I say, I had big Madison eye blades. No, didn't have there was no helmet back then.
More adventurous, not?
Yeah, well, I think so. I like it. At best, you might put it on backwards, and get back, and she just went, "Oh, you're such a poser." It's like your mum always puts you down. Isn't it? It's like, when you're a little kid and your mates come round and she goes, "Oh, stop showing off." It's like, the ultimate shutdown right when you're having fun with your mates.
That is a huge shutdown. The show off one.
Stop showing off.
Good tool, that, yeah.
It's like the best heckle I've ever had at one of my slideshows, and it was when we were doing I was doing a show on one of the Jeremy Jones snowboard trips in Alaska. And there was a massive turnout in Chamonix, and the bar was absolutely rammed. And I got a little bit nervous, like, whoa, there's a lot of people expecting some pretty powerful stuff here. And so I started, it was a bit dry, my delivery was a bit dry. And I just went, look, this will go a lot better if you throw me some heckles and I can loosen up. And John O'Verity just went, make it funnier. Which is, again, how do you come back from that? I mean, how do you do that? Yeah, it's nuts, isn't it? So yeah, the adventure thing. And then I think I had a teacher at school, in secondary school, who was just a big influence on me, Mr. Pucci. Absolutely. Really? I owe him a lot. He was a French teacher, and he used to nip off the day term finished and not come back till the day before term started. And he'd come back and he's just been in Peru for 6 weeks or traveling across Cambodia or something. I was like, whoa, I want your life, but not your job.
Mate, so you piece all those things together, and that's how...
I think
when you look back, it is funny, isn't it?
Yeah. I've just been, a couple of days ago, I just went mountain biking up in the Peak District. And that just reminded me like how I used to ride there, and also as a kid how we used to do school trips from Milton Keynes and go and plod through the peat mud, in the torrential rain on a school trip just for fun. And I just thought it was hilarious and just brilliant. Get on the bus back to Milton Keynes, it's drenched. Didn't matter. 2 hours driving back. Probably 4 hours back then, because buses probably only went about 20 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Some guy putting coal in the back.
So you did. So you got that first magazine article published, and did that like open up that it was possible you could get in a magazine, you could do these adventures which you want to do, and then actually almost get paid for them?
Yeah, maybe not so much. It was just more like, if I wanted to go on holiday, I'd try and do a story on it and
doing them anyway.
Do them anyway. And then in 96, I left the proper job, and me and my missus, my partner, we went cycle touring around. It's now called Bikepacking. Bikepacking.
That's right.
Cycle touring.
Somehow the two things do seem different now, don't they?
Yeah, they are different. Yeah. So I was thinking about this the other day. So we went cycle touring around Argentina and Chile for 10 months. Just living out of our panniers, because we had panniers then. And I've realised, so at this Alp Kit Festival just at, with quite a lot of people are like bike packers, and they were doing talks, which is absolutely brilliant, you know. But I've realised the difference is when you're cycle touring, you are just sort of like, oh, should we go left? Should we go? Let's go right.
Yeah.
That right.
What about bike
that
packing?
right.
I want the same noise.
Bike packing is like, oh yeah, more. Oh yeah. Get A to B. Must get there fast. You know, I've got to. And it seems like that. Bike packing is like you've got to go from here to here because there's an objective. You're following a route.
Right.
The something divide. And it's always the something divide route, isn't it? Like, you know, divide and conquer route. I don't know. The horse chestnut conquer route. It could be anything, right? But cycle touring's like,
yeah. I think cycle touring suits me more than bike packing. I'll be honest. I've done bike packing. I've never done cycle touring, but I like the idea.
They're both hard work. The last time I tried to do cycle touring was I had this like idea. I'm good at having ideas, just the delivery of them sometimes it can be a
What's
bit
an example?
patchy, innit? We went to New Zealand, and we took 2 months to go. The idea was to do a month in the North, month in the South Island, and we borrowed like trailers, touring trailers, you know. And the idea was go on your hardtails, knobbly tires, which back then, you know, this was late 90s, you know, we're only like 1.5s or something, and hook the trailer, ride around for a couple of days, get to where you're going, unhook the trailer, go mountain biking. And we started doing that, and within about 2 weeks, we're like, this is shit. All we're doing, you just like endless Winnebagos going past you on the roads, like this, and like, oh shit. And all you're doing is seeing like a million dead possums by the road, and just coffee cups and human shit and stuff where people are, I mean, it's a bit like living on Skye, actually. And it's just like, oh my God, this is horrible. Why don't we just get on one of these buses and get there and go mountain biking? So that's pretty much what we did. We just get rid of the trailers. And the trailers we had were awful. Like you come down, I remember coming down Arthur's Pass, big pass on the South Island, going towards the west coast, and we start coming down, and the trailer got speed wobble.
Oh no!
And you're going, you're going like 45 miles per hour. And if you pull in a trailer with a car or you know, your Land Rover or so, your Discovery,
You accelerate.
you accelerate to pull it back in line, and then you can brake and you've got control. You can't do that on a bike because you spun out.
Yeah.
You're out of gears. You're like, this is, and you're swooping
just go
around.
with it.
Well, you're clinging on, and then you get to the bottom and change your pants.
You just have to crazy camel it.
Oh, I don't know what that is, but I'm sure it's
a term I made up on the spot.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah,
It's good.
I think we'll go. I think we'll go with it. Yeah. No, it was really scary, and that just went nah. I mean, the closest we get to touring now is like stick some stuff in your backpack. Maybe you do a hut to hut route in the mountains. Where I like doing stuff where you haven't got to carry too much because we've already got a camera and things. How much more stuff do you want to carry?
That's what puts me off as well. The carrying stuff is annoying.
Yeah.
It is annoying. Yeah. Yeah, it's better if somebody carries it for you and meets you at the other end.
So your definition of adventure has changed over the years then, yeah?
Well, the definition of it hasn't changed,
Okay.
but because to me, it's all about just pushing your own boundaries. There's no definition of where adventure should be. It can be whatever level you're at and wherever you want to take it. But it's how I've approached it. And it's become much more about the storytelling and perhaps less about me finding my own adventure. That's just my brand, man. That's just how I market myself.
The storytelling, does that go hand in hand with photography and publishing and having these amazing stories that you've got in magazines?
Yeah, I think so. So a lot of the trips I've done are my concept. They've been an idea that I've had, or I've worked out a route and I've worked out a story or a destination. And sometimes they've come from somebody else. There's a guy in Bristol I've worked with a few times called Tom Bodkin, who runs he co-runs an adventure travel company, and because of that, he's been to some locations. They do a lot of logistics for sort of BBC and things, and support and safety support and things. And because he's been to some of these destinations, he used to call me up and say, "Hey, Dan," he was always on a private line as well. I was like,
Nice.
you know, if it rang in a certain way, I'll be like, "That's Tom." When everybody else leave the room while we talk about the nest, and it was a bit like that because there were so many things where we'd be planning a trip, or some of the other trips I've thought of doing that we have executed. Execute is the wrong term to use in this sort of thing, but I'll use it. Executed these trips have been to such scary sort of sounding places, but I never wanted other photographers or that to find out about this location in case they go, oh, I must, like Lebanon, oh, I must go there first and get the pioneering story on it, as if somebody's going to race me to Lebanon.
Say, is that even a thing, or is it just totally made up? It was
my own made up image of, again, thinking how pompous I am about. Oh no, I must be the first to ever go.
You were like
completely ignore the fact that
political unrest, essentially.
The what?
You were like chasing political, like when he called you up, was it like areas that were like?
Yeah, he called me up. I was coming, actually, he called me about 2 days after it was really weird, like, because I just got back from a snowboard trip in Kyrgyzstan where we split boarded up to these yurts, and we stayed in these yurts and we were touring. It was the scariest thing, just because the snow conditions it was avalanche everywhere. It was like horrific. But I came back and we were driving back out across this bit of Kyrgyzstan in a Jeep out, get back out to wherever it was. And I was with this Canadian guide, and we were looking south, and he said, if we turned left here and we just drove, we'd hit this area of Afghanistan that's really remote, and it'd be weird. And I was like, oh, that's quite cool, isn't it? And then quite literally within a week when I got back, this guy Tom had called me, and he said, you don't know me, I know your work and stuff. I was like, thanks, you're the one. Great. And he said, I'm thinking about doing a mountain bike trip to Afghanistan. Are you in? I was like, yes, I'm in. Tell me a bit more. Are we going to die?
Hang on. Speaking a bit more, we've got to take a quick ad break. I need a win.
We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
This is a paid advertisement from our friends at BetterHelp.
You know what's funny, mate?
What, mate?
Sometimes when you're stressed or confused, you end up asking the most random people for advice.
Yeah, man. Barristers, hairdressers. I even once asked a bloke in the toilet for some advice.
Exactly. Great for small talk, the guys in the toilets, but maybe not the ones you should be leaning on when it comes to real life stuff.
Probably definitely shouldn't have lent on him at the same time. But anyway, that's where BetterHelp comes in, all right? Instead of hoping the stranger in the bathroom is your life coach, you can actually get matched with a credentialed professional therapist online.
BetterHelp's been helping people find their match for over 10 years, and they've got a 4.9 rating out of more than 1.7 million client session reviews.
Wow. The cool thing is, right, they do the matching for you. You just fill out a short questionnaire and they connect you with a therapist who fits your needs. And if it doesn't feel right, you can switch anytime at no extra cost.
Plus, it's flexible, totally online. You can pause whenever you need and pick it up again later.
Nice, mate. All right, so with over 5 million people supported to date globally, BetterHelp is now available in the UK with thousands of counsellors across different specialities.
With a 4.9 out of 5 rating based on over 1.7 million client reviews, BetterHelp makes counselling affordable and convenient. And you can switch counsellors anytime for no cost.
Let's hit the companionship with a deal. All right, our listeners can get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/ridecompanion. That's betterhelp.com/ridecompanion for 10% off.
Thanks, BetterHelp.
Thanks, BetterHelp. All right, I got a kooky question.
Go on.
So what Ollie just mentioned about going into these sort of more politically unrest, that's the term, isn't it?
Yeah,
places,
I think we'll run with that. Yeah, we'll run with that.
But you also bring in the mountain bike into it.
Yeah.
Why the bike? And what is like
that's
when
good.
you're selling these stories, what are bike brands trying to get out of it?
I have no idea.
Interesting.
Good question.
Hi, you try.
Did anyone
try
know?
getting them to sponsor it. That's kind of like 2 questions in one, you cheeky bugger.
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to play. You know what I mean? I'm playing podcast game.
Trying to get So, I mean, the first thing is I don't go looking for politically unrest stuff. Like I have a kind of an interest in that or a background in that, and I think, as I said, that background lets me sort of look past that
Right.
and realize that these places are generally, as for travelers, are a lot safer than the media or the rest of the world portrays them, you know.
Okay.
Now, as I say, that's a big generalization. There is some crazy nonsense going on in the world, as we know. That's just absurd. And you'd be absolutely foolhardy to be going anywhere near some of those places right now. But on that note, what's happened is over the years, the adventure... It's like we were talking, you know, earlier, that if you travelled in the 1980s, you just had a Lonely Planet book that listed like 6 hotels in any one town, and you know, that's where you went. And now the world shrunk. The internet shrunk it. Instagram especially shrunk it. And places that were quite adventurous, even I would say 10 or 11 years ago, like Nepal, are actually what we call low-hanging fruit.
Right, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
easy pickings.
Easy
so
pickings.
I think it's the other way of saying it. Easy. Let's go with easy picking.
Yeah.
They're easy pickings. So, you know, so they are just, anybody can go there. Any photographer can go there.
Does that make it more or less interesting for you?
Well, what happens is just that the market gets a bit saturated of
Right.
stories about Nepal. I love Nepal. It's brilliant. I've done loads of trips there. I'm a big advocate for going and visiting that country. They rely on tourism. It's a big way for their villages directly rely on tourist money. It can make a big change for them. But so the whole kind of and the adventure appetite for adventure with editors and magazines. Remember when we had magazines? Yeah, editors it went on sort of a 7-year cycle as well. Like it would peak and then it would start troughing off. That's a term, troughing off.
Troughing off. It's a good term.
Yeah, it's taken me to the wrong website, that one.
You can call your next video that.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about the buffet. So, yeah, the appetite for adventure changes with magazines, and you have a big slew of stories coming out from Nepal or some of the easier locations to get to, because the information's out there. It's really easy to go to the Upper Mustang or the Lower Mustang and do a story there.
Right.
Now, you can find out everything you need. There's very little risk involved in terms of going to a place you don't know what the trails are going to be like. It's really well documented, and I'm partly to blame for that. My stuff's all out there, you know, documenting a ton of places that everybody can go to. I just saw that I can't remember who it is, just did a shoot on Navarino Island which is an island off the south of Argentina, off the southern tip of South America. We did a story. I think it was like the first time anybody had tried to mountain bike round this most southern waymarked trail in the world, which is like the most brutal thing we've ever tried to do on bikes. Pretty much, it was heinous. You know.
Right, yeah.
That's another slight. I'm tangentially talking now. So, what's happened is, if you want to make a career or an income getting stories into magazines on the adventurous side, we're pushed to more and more diverse, remote, scary sounding locations because nobody's doing stories in those places.
Okay.
So I've ended up being able to look at places like Lebanon, Afghanistan, North Korea, and some of the snowboard trips we've done are really, really remote, where we've camped out for weeks on glaciers in the middle of Alaska or Svalbard or wherever.
Yeah.
In order to get the originality. So you need originality to sell a story, you know.
And it's sort of risk involved, isn't it? It's like there is a risk, but it's different for all of them. Like, I imagine the camping out in, where did you just say?
Svalbard.
Yeah. It's like the
Should
risk is
we bring up a
different
map?
I don't know what half of these places. I'm very bad
It's
geographic.
up here. It's just up here. If you see it on the graphic here, I'm holding it still. So the
There you go,
top,
Doug. Enjoy.
79 degrees north.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
So the risk there isn't from
bears.
from guerrilla groups.
It's polar bears.
It's polar bears.
It was
literally?
polar bears.
Literally
Yeah.
polar bears.
Yeah, it was polar bears.
Polar
that
bear
was our
risk.
risk.
And you're camping.
We were camping. Yeah.
How'd that go then?
Still here. Still got my legs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was nuts. That was so I did a few years of doing projects with Jeremy Jones, who's sort of introduced a whole split board kind of thing, made that big, and some of those, they were expeditions rather than trips really, and so the Svalbard one, we got snowmobiled out from Longyearbyen, which is pretty much the only town on the archipelago. I always have trouble saying that word.
You didn't the one before. You did it even with a little accent, dude. You were getting flouncy with it.
Archipelago.
Yeah,
I've been
perfect.
practicing all the whole drive here. I've been like, archipelago. I can say it. I will conquer that.
Archipelago, I live that.
You've used that. You've said it before. Haven't you? I can tell. Taband. So we snowboarded. First, when we got there, it was a couple of days of like really rubbish weather. We had to and then suddenly there was a forecast of weather break, and we just legged it out with these snowmobiles. 10-hour drive on snowmobiles across the sort of sea ice and the tundra and all that like nonsense. Towing sledges of all our provisions that were going to last us for 2 weeks. So we had quite a big crew. We had three video guys, me doing stills, and then Jeremy Jones and Terry Harkinson, the snowboarders. So we were out there for 2 weeks. Quite a lot of provisions, like base camp tent, stuff like this. We needed to survive because once we got out there after 10 hours, we snowmobiled all night. When it's 24-hour light, it was late April. And once we got out there, we just left. The snowmobiles left, turned around and came back. It's like, see you in 2 weeks. Like, oh my God.
I mean, that terrifies me without the bears.
Yeah.
Well,
Honestly.
it was miserable because the weather on the way out was a bit grim. The sea ice was, climate crisis and all this. The sea ice was thinning. The sledges kept kind of like sinking through into the slush.
And
we were digging them out
as well.
Sorry?
Like vetting of the people that you're going with.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is. I wasn't involved in selecting those. I mean, on the
But
bike
you were
trips,
selected.
I was selected, yeah.
Because it's quite a thing, isn't it? 2 weeks testing conditions with people.
Yeah.
You might not necessarily know that well.
Yeah, I mean, me and the camera guys had worked together before on some of Jeremy's projects.
Yeah.
The 2 years before that in Alaska. Terry I hadn't met, but he's an absolute legend, he's one of them. And Jeremy I've worked with already. So, I mean, Jeremy was one who got me on board because I did this shoot for Samsonite with him in Jackson Hole. And again, the conditions were really sketchy, really avalanchy. And we ended up in this spot with this mad couloir. And I shot these pictures the last day, just me and Jeremy out shooting. And I shot this stuff for Samsonite of him like dropping in with his backpack down this couloir. And then obviously I've just got to follow him down and ride the same thing that the pro guys are riding, just a lot, like all the way down instead of looking cool, with a big camera bag on. And then come out the bottom and it's like, I've got this trip in Alaska next year where I'm just planning it and I want you to shoot it. I don't know any other snowboard photographers who are actually on snowboards. They're all on skis. And I want you to come because blah, blah, blah. So the thing in Svalbard, they got us out. Almost, we're supposed to go up onto this glacier and we're going to camp up there for 2 weeks. And then everything's done on foot once the sleds have gone. They've left us. We're climbing everything on foot, shooting everything. But we got there at like 4 or 5 in the morning and the ice going up, sort of up onto the mountain was so soggy and decaying. We couldn't get the snowmobiles up. They were touring sleds, like snowmobile talk 101, like the paddles on the skid at the back, on the sled drive at the back are really narrow. Right. This is going to go down really well. Your North American guys are like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. But they're really, really shallow treads. A bit like tires, mud tires and street tires sort of thing. Yeah. So it kind of had street tires on it to get across to cover ground. So it couldn't get up. So we had to camp there and then. It was raining. It was like 2 degrees. It was raining. We had to throw our tents up there and camp on the edge of the sea ice that was all breaking up and going. And that's full polar bear hunting territory. Yeah. And the guide that was with us, a guy called Gigi, who's an Austrian guy, he just went, oh, my job. And he just sat out there with a gun.
Really, yeah.
And it's light, and we just went, well, and that's a classic thing where you're in this spot where you can't change it. You just have to resign to the fact that you're in a tent. Terry, I got my tent up first, so Terry's like, I'm in your tent then. And that was it. We were tent buddies for the whole trip then. All I had to think about was if the polar bear came, push Terry towards it.
My tent.
Yeah, I put the tent up. Yeah. I think that's fair enough.
So did you see any?
No, it's gutted. We we found footprints. I've got
Really?
a photo of his footprint where I put my hand in it, and the footprint is like this size. Footprint's not far
my
from
Lord.
not far from the camp.
Is it like one of those things where you don't worry about other stuff? So you're on like wet ice and in lots of danger, don't have much food, all of those things. Weather's crap.
Yeah.
But there's polar bears, so you don't think about the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all relative, but it changes the context, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it's all
yeah.
relative. All of it. That's
Wow.
adventure.
Whoa.
Yeah, so there's been quite a lot of that sort of thing.
Do you have like as a photographer, do you have images that sort of encapsulate each of these trips? Do you have like you must have ones that you think that come to mind that like
Yeah, I think so.
or not? You don't know how, you don't have to.
Yeah, I'm just going to paint with my mind.
Do you know what I have? Weirdly, I have songs
Nice.
from
Oh,
trips
yeah.
that I have. So songs
Okay.
really stick in my mind. They take me straight back to that, whether I'm going
Yeah.
along a highway in America or if
Yeah.
I'm in the Alps or if they're like songs that really
That makes sense.
remind me of things.
Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, we got pictures of, most people remember like the really big hero dramatic action shots from a trip. But for me, it's often the little behind the scenes, like the year before the first Jeremy Jones trip I did, we got ski planed out to Glacier Bay National Park in Alaska, and we camped there for 2 weeks and doing everything on foot. And we were 2 days in, and there's 10-day blizzard just rolled in out of nowhere. We had 10 days of non-stop snow the whole time, just burying the tents. Every few hours, you're digging your tent out. So maybe it's like the shot of that captures that feeling
Misery.
of just endless toil,
Yeah.
digging out a tent. Or a shot in Afghanistan on that trip was we were at a spot and we needed to go over this pass. This is in June. This is like midsummer in Afghanistan, the Wakhan corridor.
What year are we talking?
2013 was
Oh, wow.
was the Afghan trip, and we were trying to go over this pass, but we couldn't because it snowed, and it was nearly 5,000 meters high altitude, and we couldn't get up there, and we retreated back to this little. It's just a couple of stone buildings because it's all semi-nomadic sheep herders up there. There's no real villages up through that area, which is actually why it makes it so safe, because there's no inhabitation. Not that the locals would be a risk, it's that because there is no real population there, it's never been a part of Afghanistan that people have fought over.
Sort of not interesting.
It's
Right.
not interesting. You've got nobody to govern, so what's the point of having it, sort of thing? It
Yeah.
doesn't have any oil in it, doesn't have any...
Yeah.
Nobody wants a bit of sheep farming territory.
Honestly, my picture of it is from movies and the news. So, like, what is even the landscape like? I don't
Yeah.
even.
Really that area is really beautiful, like wild but really beautiful. Just
It must kind of
Really
bother you
green
then a little
valleys.
bit when people generalise about a country, because
Yeah.
you've actually been maybe and
Yeah.
seen it and be like, no, it's not like that. Because I guess for me and maybe people watching or listening to this, when you say Afghanistan,
Yeah.
there is an instant image that comes to my
Yeah,
brain,
same.
which
Yeah.
is sand and quite
yeah,
flat.
yeah, right. Yeah, no, it's quite different.
Yeah, exactly. It's quite annoying.
It's really mountainous country.
Yeah.
And we were, like I say, we were just up in that top northeast, which is sort of bordered by China, Pakistan, and Tajikistan. We had to come in from Tajikistan 4 days overland to get into that area. 4 days in some pretty ropey jeeps to get there. I mean, that whole thing, it sounds really adventurous, and it sort of is, but at the same time, it's really uncomfortable. 4 days bouncing around in something that's just...
Do you get the feeling as well as you go further? I always get it because I'm very bad at swimming. Every stroke I go out into the sea,
Yeah.
I can feel myself get further from safety. Like same as that cave I go in Slovenia. You go deeper and deeper, and you feel yourself move away from the spot that you're like.
I know what you're saying, but I think it's almost the opposite. I
you?
find that the more wild you get, the safer you are, because you've only got yourself
Well, I think that's
to
the
blame
difference
for something to go wrong.
between you and I, probably.
Mm.
Because I genuinely get that feeling. I've not done many trips where you move that far from civilization. I did a jungle hike in Colombia.
Yeah.
And I really felt it. Every bit we moved away and further away from other human beings, I really felt like, oh, I'm actually yeah, I live around here and mountain bike around in the Surrey Hills, and you can just get a puncture and walk to the nearest. It's not like it. Yeah, it's not an
For
issue.
a packet of cheese and onion crisps.
Exactly. I mean, I've even done a trip with you, and I think you've been like, "Where's your water bottle? Why don't you have tools with you?"
That was a fun trip.
But you know what I mean, though. That's like that is like a difference, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah.
I think, I think that just comes down to how prepared you are, or rather, really, how ready you are to be self-sufficient or find a solution to whatever problem comes up. And that's not to say we've always found a solution. That things have gone wrong, but not that often. But we've had some incidents that, have forced me to, because you can get really complacent the more trips you do like that. Yeah. When things don't go wrong, then you're suddenly like 10 years down the line, you're going, yeah, we could just go over here. We could just wear Speedos. We'll be fine, And
Dan, there's polar bears.
Yeah, no, we're fine. It's never been bitten before.
Yeah.
Not wearing Speedos anyway.
If you're driving 4 days in somewhere, and what about food, for instance? You get dropped off.
Yeah.
You've got all of the food with you, or you need to get food?
It depends on where you are and where you're going. Sometimes we pack a lot of stuff. Afghanistan, we took a lot of freeze-dried food with us, but we also we employed locals. This is where this guy Tom came in, because he'd already done something on foot or on I think he'd done a horse riding trip there.
Wow.
Was it with Kate Humble, the BBC presenter?
Oh,
she did like a series called Wild Shepherd S or
really?
something, and she'd gone there to look at sheep farmers or something, and he'd done the logistics. And sure enough, there was a bit of the trail, like 12 days in round the back end of this bit of Afghanistan. It was nuts, and I remember we're pushing our bikes along the sandiest, most horrible trail. And you're like, I thought you said this was going to be a good ride, Tom. He said, yeah, but I was on a horse. So, and I'm like, you never got off, and what are you? Oh my word. But no, there's moments on that, the photos. I think that's one of the trips that's come closest to me ever getting a sort of a National Geographic feel to my storytelling. Like the photo opportunities that came up on that, like huddled in a stone hut while our cook, so we employed local guy, came along. Armin Beg, his name was, absolutely brilliant guy. He cooked us food every night. He only had 3 dishes that he cooked. One was just chips, which he had like a wok that he'd just fry up chips. So he had some mules with him carrying all this like our camping stuff and food and that. The other was like Afghan rice, which is just like a risotto, like Afghan style, bit of spice. And the other was the worst. It was pasta with tomato sauce that just was in like, you could slice it. It was congealed into a lump and served to you cold. And you'd rock up at the camp where we'd set a place. They'd meet us there, where you set on the map, right, we're going to meet you here, whatever. And you'd rock up and you'd go, I hope it's not pasta. I hope it's not pasta. It was a massive day, but it'd be like a 16-hour day of just slogging. And you'd get there and you'd be like, "Oh, it's pasta."
Oh no! Yeah.
And you're just like that, forcing it down because you need the energy, the calories. It was So it varies. Yeah, it varies a lot.
You've obviously always stuck. This is slightly off topic. We can bring it straight back.
Yeah,
I am curious to know, because people might want to know this, but your dietary choices, I guess, when traveling, and you stick predominantly with a plant-based diet.
Yes, I'm
Has
vegan.
that always been the same?
I like to tell everybody that I'm vegan.
I thought I'd set you up so you could do that. Has it always been like that?
No, I haven't eaten meat since my early punk days in about 1980. I think I stopped eating meat in about 82 or 83.
Okay.
And I haven't eaten meat since.
Yeah.
And then the vegan thing is
has it been hard traveling?
It's easy at home.
Harder?
It can be hard.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Like Spain and Portugal are the hardest. And
Really?
I've done 2 shoots in Spain this year, and it's been hell.
I think when it comes to travel, that might put people off. I'm speaking from my own personal experiences here, living with a vegan.
Yeah.
Myself, I don't really eat meat. And often when we look at holiday destinations or even think about traveling, the first thing my partner says is, there'll not be anything for me to eat.
It can be tricky. I will go vegetarian if in some locations. But again, it's like the more wild you get, it's almost the easier. Because
technically there should be more to eat, more plants.
Well, yeah, you can just
more
graze.
wildlife.
You just sort of get on all fours and just get amongst the sheep,
and stuff,
right? And just like this sort of thing, not munching away on the herbs. No, I think it's just that the way of the world is a lot of those countries tend to be more or they're less rich, shall we say? They're more impoverished, and meat is much more of a luxury.
Right. Okay.
So, and their diets, like Nepal and India. I mean, half the country is vegetarian by religion.
Yes.
You know, and then you go to Ethiopia. We did a trip through Ethiopia, and we were there at the time of Lent. It's quite a Christian country.
Okay.
And at the time of Lent, everybody had given up meat for Lent. So, like, the guys who were cooking every night, it's like, yeah, can we have vegetarian? Yeah, that's all we're making. And you got a couple of meat eaters on the trip, like, oh, crying out loud, bloody beans again. Oh, Ethiopian food's amazing. I am quite food focused. I'm a bit of a foodie actually for that.
That's good.
So, I mean, the whole trip we did to Lebanon came about because I was in a Lebanese restaurant in Annemasse near Geneva, and there's a picture on the wall of like a cedar tree, was their national tree, with a snowy mountain behind, and I just went, there's got to be trails in there, because all these countries, you know, they've used mules and stuff for centuries, and that's where these trails have come from. So there are trails in all these mountains, and you just think, right, Lebanese food, hummus. And the irony of that was that every time, I got a local fella to transport our gear for us, place to place, as we followed this trail down through Lebanon, and we'd meet up with him at the end of the day. So the three of us were just on our own. That was a trip that I had trouble actually rallying riders to. It's like, who wants to come to Lebanon? It was like that. Everyone's sitting on their hands, you know what I mean? It's like, oh no, I'm busy that day. I haven't said when it is. That sort of thing. And I got two blokes, two lads to come, and they were brilliant. And that's where that rider selection comes in as well,
right?
Because you've got to know that somebody's going to be good on a bike for the photos, but can turn their hand to whatever the trail throws at us. You know, it might be the chunkiest, horrible, which is a difference as well between photo and video. Like, we can go to a destination, it can be the most horrible, chunky, rubbly, Croatia plate smashing, clattering scree.
Yeah.
And photos, you can always get good photos. Yeah. You just need one corner every now and then for people to throw shape on or something to air off. On video, it's hell, isn't it? Because the video guy's crying into his hanky, like, this looks terrible. Which is surprised me because, you know, Shimano and that make videos of me riding. I'm like, I do not look good on a bike. I can look good carrying a bike.
You taught me how to carry a bike.
Did I?
You taught me how, the technique, yeah.
Oh, blimey. Yeah. Do you use it much in Surrey Hills?
Yeah, I do. Not in Surrey Hills as much, but I do use it, yeah. Okay. I do. I've passed on the knowledge, I always say, Dan Milner taught me how to do this. When I see someone struggling, put the crank down, fork leg.
Let me impart some knowledge.
Exactly, yeah.
You.
Exactly.
I don't know if I even answered your question. I don't know if we got there, but...
No, I'm not sure.
It went round in circles.
It went round in circles, didn't it? Go on, Ollie, sorry.
No, I was just thinking about... a lot of these trails are kind of not trails. They're like trails made by, let's say, goats or shepherds, or like maybe they're just passes along ridges or over mountains. Is that your favourite type of riding?
I think, I think so. I like riding stuff that I don't know what's coming up. I like riding things blind, and so those adventure thing for me ticks that box. And I like I'm not a very fast rider up or down, but I'll get there. You know, it's like having sex. Particularly fast, but I will get there.
So is that?
Can we keep that in?
Yeah, for sure.
That says something about like what you think of a mountain bike as. So it's like an A to B. It's like it's like a mule.
They used to be called ATBs, didn't they?
Yeah.
All-terrain bicycles.
Yeah.
Don't know where the MTB came from.
How do these projects usually come to life? Is it like, how do they start getting planned, and what's usually the deliverables and
it could be
the goal?
Yeah, it could be. This has changed so much over the years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So it could be like I'm sitting in a Lebanese restaurant and I see a picture, or I come like a magazine in a doctor's waiting room that has a picture of a gorge somewhere, and I think, oh, look at that. There's a track, and I Google it, and then there's a trail there. And I quite often look for long distance hiking trails in a destination.
Okay.
See if there's anything that's mapped, anything that I can already use as a basis. It doesn't always work out. I remember did a shoot for North Face years ago on ultra trail running shoot for them in the Dolomites. And it was like a 96 kilometer loop that they ran in. I don't know, they probably ran it in like 6 hours or something absurd, right? And I shot it for them, and I said, oh, that would make a great strip. We'll go back and we'll try and mountain bike that same route. It was horrible. I mean, the trails were so steep. We just carried our bikes.
Oh, really?
I mean, you could ride down, but it was just carrying. And I remember the first day, we tried to do it in 2 days. And the first day, we got to like the last climb. We'd climbed, it was 5,000 meters of up in all. So it was like 2,500 a day. And we got to the last 500 meter up, and it got dark already. It was like, it's 8 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night. And I had these two ultra riders, marathon riders with me. And they said, we'll get you up there. I've got loads of gels left. And this lad called Joshy a bit. And he said, yeah, we'll get you up there. Because I said, look, I don't think we're going to make it. Like, sometimes maybe this is that trip that's just crushed me. I'm going to retreat. I'm going to hang up my hat for this one and say, that's a story. It beat us. There is a story in that. We've got lots of pictures today. We're fine. And he said, no, we'll get you up. We'll get you to the refuge. So we plowed on and we carried our bikes all the way up this mountain and with head torches on, and about half an hour before the refuge, I had completely empty in the tank. And I just went, mate, I'm just going to have to accept, I need one of those gels now. And he just went, oh, I've eaten them all. And the guy had scoffed all of them. He had none left to hand over. I just clawed my way to this refuge.
That's the worst when you're expecting it. Oh,
yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
So they can come up in all sorts of ways and get inspiration from something. And then I do a bit of research. Usually 9 out of 10, I'm willing to give it a go. But then it's like, how do you make it pay? And that's
that was my next question. That was definitely the next question. So let's say you're in the restaurant, you see the photo, you go, I want to go there. What are the next steps to make this a reality of a trip? After the break. Mate, this one is the easiest ad read that we do. We're just going to speak from the heart. WORX have been a sponsor of ours for years, and we've both used the majority of the tools at this point.
Absolutely. I mean, I've really sort of redone my house with WORX tools.
Yeah, I've got a plethora.
I bought in mine.
Show and tell.
This is you what? Sorry, yeah, it's show and tell. Exactly. So this is my Hydra shot, and I bought it in because I wanted to do show and tell and talk about the things that I really love about it.
Please,
is that okay?
I'd love for you to do that, please.
So basically, one of the key things beyond the actual function of this, which we'll get into in a second, it's the fact that it's part of the power share system. Now, every single power tool I own, and whether that's garden, home, DIY, my chainsaw, trail building. I've got 2 chainsaws.
Ooh.
I need to actually keep my voice down, otherwise WORX will hear and they'll stop sending me anything. I'm spoiled.
Yeah.
But this power share, this goes in everything I own. So I can't tell you how easy that makes life. Yeah, I've 100%. Always got something charged up. I'm not the most dialed with like having a set up charging area. So it's always good to know that you've always got batteries.
Yep, it's true.
Pop it in here in a waterproof case.
Nice. There it is.
And you're off to the races. Now this I use attached to my hose.
Yep.
But previously I've used it with the hose connection that goes into a water source. So you can do it from a bucket or a river. So you can have it in the back of your van.
Yeah.
To clean your bike.
Yeah. Super handy. Portable, of course. Like I've done that before. I've finished a ride. I've been parked near a water source, whether it's a puddle or even actually taking water in a 25 litre drum.
I saw Davey once
pressure the blue wash down. I dipped it into my bucket that I'd taken. Yeah. Wash the bike in the back of the van. Dry when you get home. Sometimes I even use my WORX leaf blower.
No, you don't.
To dry a bike.
I don't have a leaf blower.
Gangster.
I best get on the emails. I'm going to get a leaf blower on the go.
But yeah, love this brand. Love the tools. Super easy. I mean, the Hydra Shot's become a MTB must, hasn't it?
I mean, it really has.
If you don't own one, you may as well not have a bike.
Yeah, your bike's really going to end up landfill.
Yeah, basically yeah.
This is actually the nitro version as well. So this is more powerful.
Some extra beans.
It's got this like adjustable head, so you can adjust like the spray. We don't need to tell you what a pressure washer does. This does what a pressure washer does, but I can't tell you how good it is and how easy it's made my life. And I've been using it for so long. This is literally the easiest advert to do.
It's so good.
Before I had a hose fitting on my house.
Yep.
I used to live in a flat.
Yep.
I used to wheel the bikes into the flat. It was so annoying having muddy bikes. It just meant I had a muddy house. I got this. It literally changed my life. I'm not even joking. I could wash my bikes and I didn't have to live in a pigsty, and then I could get a girlfriend.
Dude,
and look at us now.
This jet wash has changed your entire life.
Yeah, it's meant that I can actually have a partner in life. I'm not just on my own with a muddy house.
I mean, what an endorsement.
It's mind-blowing, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is mind-blowing.
What's even better than that, so people can get a partner, change their life, and save 15%.
How much?
15%, dude.
I
Say
mean,
it again.
The fact, 15%, you're serious. 15%, I mean, the fact that they offer this product to general public as something you can just buy is ridiculous enough. And now we're offering it for 15% less.
Mate, you'll never see a single mountain biker again.
I mean, I kind of want to keep it secret a little bit. That's why it's the only downer about doing these ads. I wanted to keep it a bit secret. I don't want everyone to have the secret to my success in life. All right, maybe we're going overboard. We actually, do you know what? It's a product we don't really need to. The Hydra Shot is absolutely unbelievable. And you say we get 15% off. How do we get 15% off?
Head to WORX.com, enter the promo code The Ride Companion. It's on screen right now. The promo code is flashing black and orange. The Ride Companion at WORX.com. Change your life.
The Ride Companion at WORX.com.
Yeah, easy as that.
Seems easy.
Is easy.
Change your life too. Thanks, WORX.
Cheers, WORX.
What was the question?
So yeah, how do you
go about
pay?
structuring these trips?
Yeah, so that's all changed, doesn't it? Because it used to be that I used to do trips with my mates, and it would be so we went from paying for my holidays to get some mates like the Colorado Trail. We'll get a story out of it. I can help pay maybe a bit more of the cost of the van hire or something.
Right.
Make it work, right?
Yeah.
But the problem with doing trips with your mates, great as they were, and my mates were brilliant, but when you get to the end of a day and the light is just getting absolutely phenomenal, they don't want to push back up and do it again for the shot. They're like, no, I'm done. I'm done. I want a beer now. With Dan, you can nip off. Whereas if you're with a pro rider, firstly, that pro rider's there to do that, and they'll go, yes, we know what the glory of that shot, that hero shot, is going to be worth us getting up out of the tent before the sun comes up and shivering in the frost just to wait for that first light to crest the horizon, and then you've got that shot, and and then you have breakfast afterwards. But your mates won't do that. Well, my mates won't. That's why they're not. That's why I left Chamonix and moved to the furthest north of Scotland. Get rid of them quick. So the model has changed because it used to be that I could do one of those stories and it might go out into, say, 8 magazines around the world, which from the scale of payment compared to, say, coming out in Spain to the same story coming out in Germany, between the whole lot, and you might sell some of the pictures to a sponsor, between it all, you've got a nice little package. You're not ever going to get rich, but...
And you do that yourself. You pitch that out to all the different magazines. That out,
and you build up the relationship with the editors and the magazines so that you can just pitch that out. Right. And once you've got that trust, the only thing that people would perhaps turn down a story is because if they've already just run a story from Africa. And I'll be like, yeah, but your story from Africa or from South America was a completely different country within a continent. And they go, yeah, we ran one from that continent. I'm like, yeah, but it's okay. Well, you can't argue. It's the editor's choice, isn't it?
Yeah.
They know their market, whatever. So that's changed the last few years with the sort of demise of the magazines. And now, like, I can't really there's hardly any magazines out there that will actually pay for content. They might run it for free. So I've shifted it over to try and find the sponsors will pay the whole trip cost, and then they can have all that content, and they can. But it's a rocky
Yeah.
It's a tricky one because it's almost like the demise of that and the free content. I think readers, by not supporting that bit of the industry, and that's their choice, have sown themselves down the river to
TikTok.
end up in a place where the content is just going to be so repetitive and so boring and so unoriginal in a few years' time that people are like, it's just Ollie riding the Surrey Hills again.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, I do hear you. I really miss the magazines, actually.
Yeah, especially when you sit and talk about this and talk about adventure and all the backstory behind it. Same. Like, the idea of sitting and reading, about your Alaska trip and stuff like that is way more appealing now, to be honest with you.
And hard to get in. I think the problem is it's hard to get in. You've got 2,500 words in a magazine article at 8 pages. To get all of that into a 30-second Instagram reel or a
Is it the
carousel.
Yeah, you're right. Is it the same across other industries, though? Does the mountain bike aspect of it, or snow, often pigeonhole you into a certain part of an industry? Whereas if you went more National Geographic, like the example you gave before, is that still thriving?
I've got to say I don't really know on that one. I think there is, there are really great adventure magazines out there, but now obviously with demise of all the others, there's so many people pitching to them.
Yeah,
that you're just clogged out.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter what your story is. Like North Korea, for example, it's like go to North Korea,
that.
and that we did that trip because, and I'm willing to take that. That was an interesting one because we couldn't. It was quite an expensive trip. I think it was 16,000 euros for the 4 of us to go. That's like from when we landed in North Korea in Pyongyang to when we left again. Everything is included, so like a package tour.
So that is literally a package
that we worked out with the company that was
okay.
Like,
can you add some context for our viewers
again,
and listeners?
Tom had got some context.
So how you
really
ended up going to North Korea and why?
It's really easy to go.
Okay,
for most people.
Yeah,
you just go online and click on something and then it
Skyscanner.
Yeah. You go on the dark web,
Ryanair,
I think it's called, and you find a ticket. Ryanair, yeah, exactly. No, it's quite. They want tourism there.
Okay, I mean, is that why this opportunity presented itself?
So you can contact the state. That there are agents. It's probably the wrong word again. Agents for the state tourism.
Tourism agents.
They're out there that will put together a package for you. And we said, well, we want a mountain bike, and we want a mountain bike in these. Me and Tom had researched different areas of the country that have mountains that should have old trails going to old Buddhist temples and things in the mountains. We're going to go to these and these 3 locations. So we need you to put together a 2-week tour that takes us just to these, and we'll mountain bike.
And what's the communication like with it? It feels like it's all surveillance.
Yeah.
From the outside, from what I've seen online and stuff, I'm sure many people listening or watching have done the same. Everything is controlled, right?
Yeah, kind of. I think I got the impression that it's loosened up. This was 2018, so it might have changed now with COVID and things, because North Korea was the only place that COVID didn't hit on the planet, apparently.
Incredible.
I know. It's like should have stayed. So it's a fascinating place. And the moment you get off the plane, when you land, we were met by 2 fixers, minders, whatever you want to call them, who were great. They were our tour guides. And
were they actually cool? Yeah.
Yeah, really good blokes. And they were well into what we were doing. They were young. They were just dressed impeccably, like dressed really unsuitably for hiking up a mountain with us in the torrential rain that we got. And that was, I think that's a good example of how the travel. I think you asked earlier about the bike and how that changes, and I use it was almost a cliche. I repeat it that much. I think the bike breaks down a lot of barriers.
Okay.
When you go to these remote places, because the bike is like a universal vehicle. Like people won't in some places you have horses, there won't be bikes, but generally around the world, if you turn up with a bike, everybody's going, "There's a bicycle."
Do you think
That's
it says
wicked.
fun?
It says fun. It says transport and it says fun, and you know, doctors use them and nurses use them, and everybody goes to market on them, and kids give 10 their mates a baccy to school on them. I mean, bikes are everywhere, aren't they? So you rock up on a bike and everybody's like, "Oh, wicked," you know, and you, well, pull some wheelies.
Show them a drop a post as well. That's pretty cool.
My wheelies are like, that's about it.
So
show them a drop a post.
Yeah.
So universally, including North Korea, bikes go down well.
Yeah, I mean, it's all bikes in North Korea. There's hardly any cars. So, like, there's like no private transport sort of thing. So we end up there, and then we had this plan to go up the mountain, and this first location, quite steep. It's a bit like Maple Forest. So actually reminded a bit like riding in Finale. Down, like quite steep, flowy trails, but we're hiker biking up them. And then the day 2 and 3, we're going to go up and we're going to bivouac out on the top of this mountain. Like, not only are we going to mountain bike in North Korea, of all places, we're going to go and camp out on the top of a mountain, and we've got permission to go and do this. So
Man, it seems unreal. So
it is unreal, yeah. It's
So
surreal. Like, you can't.
when you got from the plane,
Yeah.
right? You went to the airport. What happens there? Do you have to go on like government
Oh,
tours or any of that sort of stuff?
No, we did a bit of city sightseeing in the first day. You know,
What was that like?
Yeah,
I'm really
please.
fascinated every bit of your trip. I'll be honest.
It's mind blowing. Like, it's a totally different environment. It's really clean. Everybody's just well behaved. You know,
Were they real?
there's
people? Was
nobody
it like a
sitting down in the
performance?
corner with a fag. You know, like, all right, mate. It's none of this.
No spice
Not
heads.
popping in the pub like, all right, what are
Stella
you having?
cans.
Although we did go in a microbrewery. That was pretty good there.
Microbrewery in
Yeah.
North Korea.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's just it has a different pace. We went down in the metro. Then sure enough, like in the city, there's a few things that they want you to see that they're proud of. So they take you to that. We finished at the War Museum, you know, the Korean War Museum sort of thing, where they fight all about celebrating the victory over the Imperial American oppressors and this kind of thing. So that's all part of it. But what happened when we got out of the city and we got into the mountains, we hike up this mountain to bivouac out
With the
guides and with a local guide who joined us. It was this 73 years old, a local dude who chain smoked non-stop. He was that. All right then. All right. Do you want one of these, lads? These special local these. Right. And he's just, and he's got like the bandiest legs, and he's like Yoda, and he's just running ahead of us straight up this mountain, and we've got bikes on our back, and we can't keep up with him. And he's just, every time we caught up with him, he'd just be like, chuck his fag down, and he'd be off again, leading his way all the way up this mountain. And we get towards the top, and it starts raining, and we're right on the edge of like a typhoon is coming over Japan, and we get caught in it. And the original shelter we were going to bivvy in, it's like this little sort of pagoda thing, was the most uncomfortable looking thing you could have. We'd been to these other ones the day before that had like nice flat floors, like ceremonial roofs. Like, this is, I can sleep in here a week. You watch me. It's been the best night's sleep I'm ever going to have. And this one was the most horrible. Like, the floor was made of logs, side by side, like it's a log cabin that have fallen over.
Upside down.
How are we going to sleep on that? Even with the thickest thermarest, it's just going to be horrible. And we just went, do you know what? We'll just keep going. And there's nothing nearby to shoot, no bit of trail we could shoot on. Like I say, quite often you plan things so you're going to stay one night somewhere that's going to give you a bit of trail. It might be just 50 meters of trail with a bit of flow next to it that you can do a sunrise or a sunset shots on, just to capture that magic, right? There was nothing nearby. It was just bushwhacking. I'm like, this is a bit pants, isn't it? Let's keep going to the ridge. And we pushed on up to the ridge, and we're passing bikes up these rock faces, and it's getting a bit silly. And then this rain, this gale comes in, and it's just horizontal, like 50-mile-per-hour rain, just battering the hell out of us. And we just scurrying along this ridge until we found this little rock face, and we all just huddled below it. And there's this mad picture of us bivvying out, and it's the most uneven, rocky bit of trail, and we're all lying on this trail for the night. We didn't take bivvy bags because we thought we were going to be under a shelter, so we're sort of getting a bit wet. We're in the lee of these rocks, so we're a bit sheltered. Harold Phillips was with us, and Max Schumann. Great blokes, like perfect fit for that sort of trip. Nothing fussed them. And Matt and Harold, the next morning, like, we wake up, and Harold's lying there, and we'd all put a sleeping bags sort of parallel with the rock face, just tucked in, like really uncomfortable. And he'd just gone, I'm German, I will put it across, this is comfortable. This way, it's nice and even. And of course, the whole bottom half of his sleeping bag had been in the rain. It hadn't been sheltered. And he'd woken up at about 3 a.m, shivering his arse off. And but he's such a nice lad. He'd shivered until we had all woken up. And then I was like, all right, whoa, that was a bit rough, wasn't it? Like this. And he's like, yeah, can we start the stove now? I'm really cold. The stove's right there. Just start it. But what
about the fixers?
So the fixers had slept out as well.
Yeah.
And they'd had the worst night. I mean, it was just... And one of them had never camped out in his life, ever. Like, not slept outside, ever. This guy called Army, he was 26 years old. And he had just... And it was just like the worst night. And I've got this picture of him in the morning. And his waterproof is quite literally a polythene... it's decorated with like clouds or something. It's like a polythene Mac, and that's what he's wearing. We're all like fully Gore-Texed up. Yeah, rugged adventure types. Look at us. And we've had the horriblest night, and he's just standing there like biggest smile on his face. And you know what? Like, because we did that, because we all went through that shared horrible experience together. They were our best mates.
Really?
From then on, the rest of the other 10 days of the trip, they couldn't do enough for us. Everything we wanted to do that wasn't on the pre-arranged or pre-agreed agenda, we just got permission. They were just like, yeah, do it. Yeah, we're coming back through Pyongyang. There's a skate park. Can we just stop the bus and go and ride around the skate park? Yeah, do it.
Yeah. Wow.
And they were just like that whole way. So I think there's that thing, that sort of shared. You get it in any part of mountain biking.
For sure, yeah.
That shared experience is what bonds you together.
The content I've seen from certain creators that have been to North Korea, it almost seems like they've been taken around and it's a bit of a act. And the people, the fixers, are sticking to a script and they don't move off that script. So they kind of did come off the script a little bit, or did they still?
We got off the script. We discussed all sorts of stuff.
Really? And are they aware?
They were
Were they aware
honest.
what was going on?
They were really honest. But we weren't filming it. So that's a difference, isn't it? Like Michael Palin he was there about 3 months before us, I think.
Okay.
He did a great 2-parter on North Korea. And he pushes his fixer, his guide, to try and get her to talk about stuff. And I think that's really unfair to have her on film trying to push away from the party line, because that's her job and she'll be in trouble if she goes away from it. But because we were not filming, it's just they could talk to us about anything.
Wow.
But yeah, we came back into the Pyongyang in time for this 70th birthday celebrations of the revolution, which was just this huge military parade and all this like pomp and ceremony and stuff like this. And you felt them tighten up a little bit when we got back in there, because they were like, right, well, we can be seen now. So there is that, and I can understand it. It's a different political system. It relies on coherence.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that system will collapse.
Yeah.
It relies on people to obey it.
Yeah.
But it is a system that has its positives and it has mad negatives, And it's just way out there. It's a mad, and I like doing stuff in places like that, because it's an education for me, and it's good to just share those experiences,
Yeah.
Did it challenge all of your preconceptions about what it was going to be like? Like, did you have a really strong idea of what it was going to be like, or did you go in kind of thinking,
I rarely seem to have any preconceptions. I don't really read up on places much before I go.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I've found it quite fascinating. I've watched we've probably watched the exact same YouTubes and series and stuff like that. So I don't know from what you're saying. But then again, I guess mountains are mountains. If you're out there, you're all in the same boat, and that's probably what made you.
Yeah, and even people, that first location was quite a big tourist spot. When the last place we ended up was a big tourist spot for domestic tourists who go out to the mountains to go hiking for the day. And once we were up the mountain, they were like high-fiving us and taking pictures of us all hiking. And there's no internet.
Yeah.
And our phones wouldn't work or anything, so they can't share it with the outside world. I was like, don't take pictures. Your big reveal will be lost, of my story, man. Stop. And then I was like, wow. You can take as many pictures as you want. You're not going to share them anywhere else, are you?
Yeah.
So,
What were your big takeaways then from North Korea? I'm still fascinated by them, I'm afraid.
Oh, right.
Was it like?
I don't know.
I guess from what I've seen, there's a sadness about it, but that's probably what I've been shown or what's been portrayed.
Yeah.
Did you feel any of that or not really?
It's definitely, from what we saw, it's quite a poor country, you know, but people are kind of, if you accept the system, you're looked after to an extent. Now, I'm sure this podcast will go out and there'll be people going, that's nonsense, you know. I know people who've fled North Korea and they tell me otherwise. I can only go on what I've seen and what our experience was. But the fact that our guides could talk to us pretty openly, but certainly there was another tour guide we met in Pyongyang, a Western guy, who had said, it's changed in a couple of years before we went because they were trying to soften it to open it up to more tourism.
Right.
Because I'm not an economist. Do I look like an economist? Not really. So I don't understand how this system
You're not wearing
works.
a mask.
No, it's like, I don't understand how money goes in and out, or like they can only trade with China and Russia.
Yeah.
Blocked by everybody else. So part of that, when we were trying to get there, I said, we had real trouble getting a brand to back the trip, you know, publicly. So we couldn't just say, okay, right, your sponsors, could they chip in and pay for us to go? So the brand's like, yeah, we'd rather not, you know, awkward. So we launched a crowdfunder for it. And the first platform we put the crowdfunder on, it was like, we're going to do a mountain bike trip to North Korea. Help us cover the costs. You know, I'm pretty sure I'm going to come back with a story that's going to sell, but it probably isn't really, by the time I've paid my 4,000 plus the air ticket, you know, I'm not really going to make much money out of this, you know. So crowdfund it. The first platform, it was up for 24 hours and it got shut down.
Did it really?
It got closed down because it was North Korea. We got to start it again. So we started another one.
I don't even understand why.
It was because it's a regime and they contravened their platform's TNCs, I think they call them.
Okay.
You know? So we launched another crowdfunder and we were offering we'll send you a postcard from North Korea if you chip in a tenner. And so we're quite a lot of, and if you chip in 50 quid or 100 quid, you can have a framed print or a print or something from the trip or of your choice. And we raised a fair bit of money, not enough to pay for the trip, but we raised a bit. And we sent 120 postcards from North Korea.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, they all arrived, even the ones to America. And we went out shopping for postcards and we were getting these postcards that were just everything from the most boring postcards. You remember Martin Parr, he's a hero photographer of mine. He's done books called Boring Postcards, where he's just gathered old postcards. They're postcards of the M1 in 1962 with one car on it. You know, postcards of the city centre of I don't know,
Slough.
Yes, Slough.
Just a roundabout.
The magic roundabout in wherever it is, Swindon, you know, when it was first built. These retro things. Anyway, so we had postcards that were just like that. They were just like a postcard of the science building. It's this is awful. So we started buying loads of these to send out.
Amazing.
And we just wrote on the back sort of, wish you were here sort of thing, and addressed them and sent them. But then we came across this place that sold really political, all that sort of North Korean, people holding AK-47s up, you know, paintings, or these kind of Soviet-esque kind of revolutionary things that are just written in Korean, death to the imperial oppressor sort of thing, like this. And all those we sent to America. Right, yes, let's see if these get through. And they did.
Wow.
It was
amazing,
remarkable.
yeah.
So it was pretty cool. People were
I wonder if they're actually geared up for tourists, those. Who's sending them in North Korea?
I know.
Where they sending them?
Yeah, they do get tourism. It tends to come across from South Korea. You can cross the border.
Okay.
There's more tourism down there, or from China in the north. It come across. So it tends to be Chinese or South Korean tourists coming in. Very few Westerners, sort of thing. Although I mean, there were other tourists there when we were there.
So can we link to the videos and stuff like that in the show description?
We didn't get videos there.
You shot photo.
It was just try and do a video thing there.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's quite a lot of the destinations, you know, we look at. It's video could be quite tricky.
Yeah,
you know? It's a lot of permits and a lot of hoops to jump through.
Yeah,
to get a video.
So where did the photos for that? Where
that
people
story
see them?
ran virtually every magazine around the world,
Amazing.
pretty much. I mean, I forget which ones. MBUK ran it, Bike in Germany. I'm sure there's stuff online. I think, who would it be? Yeah, I mean, it's got it. If you Google it, I'm sure there's stuff.
Amazing.
There.
Yeah, we'll put some links in the show description for our friends, probably MBUK. When did your passion for like writing as well? When did that start creeping in?
Yeah, the storytelling. I think it was just if you come up with ideas for like a mad location or an adventure, because it's your baby, it just felt like I should write about it. But it started when we were, did the Transalp race in the 80s.
Okay, right.
Started writing stuff.
So they've always gone together.
Yeah,
photography and the storytelling.
Yeah, and at times, I've had journalists join us on trips, and they've done the writing, which is absolutely fine. It's quite nice as well because it lets me just focus on the photography. Yeah, which is quite good. Depends on what mag,
right?
How we make it work.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said earlier the world's got so much smaller.
Yeah.
Are there still places that, is there still stuff on Dan Milner's bucket list? The bucket list has got to be pretty. You've ticked off a lot of things, haven't you?
Yeah, we have. I use the word we. My partner always tells me off for that. It's like, who's this we? Just say I. Like we. Yeah, we've done it. Yeah, I don't know if there's really that many more places. There's places I've often been without a bike that I think, oh, I must come back for on a bike trip here.
Yeah.
Some of the snow locations, which is like Kyrgyzstan, I'd been there on a snow trip. It's like, well, this could be wicked on a bike. So I don't know part of it is I'm trying to, certainly the last few years I've been like winding the travel side down.
Yeah. And you moved out of Chamonix, which was your home for many, many years,
24 years I lived in Chamonix in the Alps, yeah.
So that must have changed.
It did change. It's pretty posh. I think I was evicted. They ejected me. Like,
It feel that way, yeah.
No, when I first went there in 1990, it was a real ski bum sort of like dirt bag climber place. You slept on sofas and it was quite sort of felt quite lawless. And then over the years, I was back there a couple of weeks ago. Well, no, 3 or 4 weeks ago, doing a Shimano film that will be out probably in the spring, where we carry our bikes way up the mountain to bivvy out above the Murder Glass, which is the glacier that features in Shelley's book Frankenstein. So there's a bit of a monster link to the film. The town's changed. The riding's amazing, but it's pretty nadgy, pretty rocky, rooty, hiking trails. But they've even like banned you from riding on tons of trails now.
Really?
So the whole feel of the place was going differently.
Why is that? Why have they banned people?
Just friction with hikers. It's just got such a popular location that they just want to manage it. So inevitably managing it means banning the bikes, not banning the hikers. And in the meantime, they've been building, or organisations there have been building some bike trails, which are pretty fun. Some stuff at Latour. There's an absolutely brilliant red track at the back of Latour down to Valacine. When I was there, where the lift shut. Yeah. When you arrived just after me, and I was there. Part of the timing for us to be there was I knew the Valacine lift was going to be open and I could ride that trail. And I did like 8 laps on it in a couple of days, just couldn't ride it enough. And it's a 1,000-meter descent of just the most fun, my sort of fun stuff. Not jumpy and that, but just natural, but slightly enhanced kind of thing. So people have been building trails, but inevitably over the years, as they've built trails, it's just given the council the excuse to ban you from other
bits,
natural trails, because they go, you've got your bike trails. And I go, but most of them are not how I ride. They're bermed and they're jumpy, and that's not my riding. It might be tons of people's riding now, and it's becoming more and more popular, but it's not my kind of stuff. So it got frustrating, and we just felt after 24 years it was time for a change, and we needed slightly different. We needed different surroundings. We needed a different energy. So we moved from there to the Isle of Skye in Scotland. It couldn't be more different.
Skye.
Wow,
couldn't be more different.
Why there?
Why there? I've never been there before.
Really?
Before I went to see this house that we bought. And
That's
we
pretty
just
cool.
saw it and went, we'll move here. Why not? What we got to lose? another everybody up there was like, it's very dark. Do you know how dark it is in the winter? Do you know how bad the midges are in the summer? And between the two, you get about a week period where it's nice.
Really, yeah.
Do you realise this? I was trying not to look at Dougie. His little eyes like, do you know where you're going? All those trips I did with the guy behind the camera here. And he's like, yeah, I told you. Why do you think I've moved to Surrey? So me and my partner Angie, we just decided we needed to do something else as well. I'm still shooting pictures and so on. But let's just try and get a bit of land that we've got a bit of control on and have a bit of biodiversity project. So we bought a 9-acre croft on the south of the island that we've been planting with some trees, and it's fenced from deer. And we're just, in 2 years, the amount more wildlife on that 9 acres is phenomenal. It's just been, because to get deep on it, we've got a really crazy biodiversity crisis going on across the world, and especially in Scotland. Everybody goes to Scotland and goes, what a magnificent country, it's so wild and it's full of deer. And it's like, yeah, it's full of deer, but there's nothing else really going on because they've basically eaten everything.
So is the deer, I'm probably completely off on this, is that because wolves don't?
Yeah, we want wolves. Come on. Contentious.
Is that right, though? Am I making that up? So the deer eat the saplings, so you don't get growth, you don't get biodiversity.
Yeah, deer and sheep are eating all any trees that try and grow are just nibbled away, basically. Except in the hard to reach things. So we just we'll get 9 acres, no bugger can come in here and kill things, and we'll just have a little corner of a wildlife sanctuary where I can run around in my pants.
Frolicking, I think.
Nobody can tell me not to.
Definitely frolicking.
I think it's called frolicking. I think that's a good word.
What's your stance? Okay, bit deeper.
Oh, right, okay.
Stance on hunting, especially up there.
Yeah.
Where do you sit with that?
Oh, yeah.
Do we want to go there?
Question.
Huh?
Hunting what?
Deer.
Deer, yeah, deer. Well, stalking or culling. There is an overlap.
Yeah, definitely.
Often intertwined those two words.
So
how do you stalk deer? They don't have Instagram, do they?
Decent that. Good joke, that one.
Cheers, dude.
Yeah, I like that one. So I guess from my side, I don't want to get too deep, but we do sometimes, don't we? We do have actual nice conversations sometimes.
Yeah.
Where we actually talk about
I'll change that.
Yeah, let's go. So I don't really eat meat.
Yeah.
But I guess if I heard that someone did hunting and they did it sustainably, they killed a deer and they took it and they ate it.
Yeah.
I've got more respect for that.
Yeah,
than someone
I would
buying
say
a packet from
if you were
supermarket.
eating meat,
Deer.
yeah,
Packet of deer, packet of
but
venison.
I got 3 packets of deer and
Deer
one of something
nuggets.
else, please, and some seaweed.
So yeah, I don't know. I guess I just like to hear your side of it, living up there. And
Yeah, it's quite. I'm quite torn on that one because my veganism originally comes from animal rights side rather than from diet or health. I think the diet and the health is a big part of. It's great for me.
Yeah,
and I think our biggest concern right now is environmental, like planetary crisis that we've got on all sorts of levels. But the deer thing. So if you were going to eat meat, like wild caught venison or denison, I think is also there's Dennis the deer.
Dennis the Venice.
Dennis the Venice. Yeah.
Dennis the Venice.
Oh no.
That's great.
Oh no, I've nearly wet myself.
Drink it.
That's
Lost. I'm in a
so
tent in
our
a blizzard.
podcast. That's so our podcast. Like, it gets a little bit serious. It's just a great gag just slotted in there.
Good. All right. Well, we'll be right back. After. So I'm torn again on that one because it's quite contentious because you got the animal rights side, but we need to control deer populations in Scotland. I'm talking from, I've got background in biology, but marine biology, so I'm more attuned in some ways to the marine environment. But yeah, deer are a problem up there if we want forest back.
Yeah.
It's tricky.
Do you have an amount? If you own a piece of land, do you have an amount that you have to cull per year? I thought that was
number
a thing.
of deer.
Yeah.
Or number of tourists.
Deer.
We'll go with the deer.
Yeah, we'll go.
Tourists
I
are
thought that
coming
was a thing.
next.
I thought that there was like, if you owned a large piece of land, I thought that you had to
Oh, I've never heard of that.
provide a
No.
number of
Oh,
deer.
no, well, I've not heard about it.
Maybe it's a farm thing.
It's
I don't know.
it's an interesting So if we want to boil it right down, like most of Scotland's owned by very few people who run that land for their financial gain through hunting, essentially. I mean, you know, however, it's the same as all of across the UK. I mean,
The
look
National
at
Trust,
that.
right?
Yeah, National Trust for Scotland. No, you know, gaming estates, and you look at that across the UK, and this is our problem with that right to roam south of the border. You know, we have no right to that big issue of like free camping on Dartmoor recently that got taken to court.
Oh, really?
To try and keep our right to free camp up on the moors that we, as a public, should really own.
Yeah.
But they're privately owned. The landowners just want us off all their land. You know, which is shutting down our rights to access to everything. It's a whole other campaign, eh?
Yeah.
So in Scotland,
So it is right to roam in Scotland.
there's right to roam, yeah, but you've got to take responsibility, and that's the key
Yeah.
bit. Like
Yeah.
you can't go tearing things up and wrecking it and setting fire to things. We leave the grouse beaters to set fire to the land because they're busy doing that. That's another one, isn't it?
Yeah.
So park that one for a minute. No, that's all part of it. So
Okay.
I've not heard that you have to kill deer.
No, I thought there was a. I think I watched a. This is so pointless on a podcast to talk about a series that I barely remember. But it was like two people that like inherited a large estate in the Highlands, and they had to, because of the size of the estate, they had to provide a certain number of deer. It might be just in some areas or something, but the guy had to go out and hunt deer. He had no interest in hunting deer, but he had to provide.
Right. Yeah.
God.
Or you got fined. But
no,
I
I've
don't.
not heard of
No.
it. It might be more like there's an incentive,
You heard of that?
financial
Yeah,
incentive
maybe.
or something.
There is a problem. I do know a lot have to get taken out, so there might well be.
Yeah, I'll try and find it because I don't think I'm making it up. It was a big part of it because the guy had, you know, these people were from like a city somewhere else, and they'd like moved up and they were just adjusting to all these different things, and the deer were one of the things.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, you can plant trees and you got a deer fence, and the deer fence got to be 2 meters high, 1.8 to 2 meters high. Otherwise, they'll jump over it and eat
Wow.
all your new young
You
trees.
fenced a 9 acre.
Oh well, we bought a place that's already fenced.
Oh wow, I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
that was part of the
Holy.
attraction. I was like,
Yeah.
that's like
No fixed
Damn,
quota.
nice one.
It's an
What would you-
obligation.
Out of
You're
interest,
obliged.
What would you do if you saw a deer eating
Oh,
one of your
they-
sapling?
oh, they've been in.
Have
They,
they?
they found a way in last autumn.
what did you do?
It was I ran out of my pajamas and chased them
That'll
out through
do
the
it.
gate.
That'll do it.
And I wish we'd been doing like video blogs, whatever. That
Did you have a GoPro on?
Yeah,
Just helicoptering.
yeah. I should have
Dennis the Venice
Put a
got in and
chest.
you had to chase him out of there.
Dennis the Venice. Yeah, I had to chase them out. But you got the gate open and they were up in the corner, and I was like, but I was on my own and Angie was away, and I'm like, oh, for all the times, pull my pajamas up high, off I go.
Yeah.
And me wellies out there chasing them out through the thing.
What are your thoughts about reintroducing wolves? What do you think about the?
Yeah, so I did great. Really, well, I thought it was a great story in the Alps a couple of years ago with Ludo May and Manon Carpenter.
Ah,
and we
cool.
did a story for Patagonia. And you can find it on the Patagonia website. I think it's called In the Tracks of Wolves, and we went and stayed up in this refuge in the Italian Alps. And the idea, we're all three of us mad on nature, wildlife stuff. So we went out really early on our bikes every morning trying to spot wolves, because it's quite a busy place for wolves. And so wolves. And so we were out there trying to spot them, looking for signs for them. And the whole story was to use that as a way of telling the story of how wolves have repopulated across the Alps. And not to get too deep into it, it's been really successful. They've not been reintroduced, but they're a key part. They're an apex predator, and they're a key part of keeping everything in balance. If we want biodiversity to recover, we need apex predators. And that could be eagles, white-tailed eagles or golden eagles in Scotland. It could be lynx. It could be wolves. wolves. And, it's the teeth. Very good. I mean, I was going to have them filed down, but it's out of my brand. You know, when I did like years ago, I did Epic TV series, and it was like a 10 by 10 questions in 10 minutes with like Darren Bearclaw and Matt Hunter and people like this, so like on Zoom, and I sat there and it was like a news desk, and I had a cup of tea and a biscuit. I was like, not that they have a cup of tea and a biscuit on a news desk, perhaps they should, but I was like, yeah, like this. And in the comments, we were talking earlier about people trolling and how people put comments up about like just feel the freedom to just put negative stuff up for no other reason than they feel really empowered in their sad little lives, right? So. And that somebody had just gone, yeah, it was the Bearclaw one, and Bearclaw had like, it just had an eye operation, so we was like all this on the screen, and my questions are quite fun sort of thing. I always think it's good to put humour in things. I think not everybody laughs, but I laugh, and that's all that matters. So, and I had all these comments like, "Don't diss the claw." Afterwards, and this other one comment just went, "Hey Milner, why don't you get your sponsors fix your teeth?" I'm like, whoa, man. That's like, okay. All right.
The internet.
Very easy to be mean, isn't it, on the internet?
I know. It's good, isn't it? Yeah. I have no idea what we were talking about. Wolves. So, yeah, it was a great chance to go and talk to this biologist about how and why wolves have become popular and how they manage the interaction with the farmers, and how they manage that interaction and sort out compensation for them when they lose livestock. And there are great schemes across Europe, but inevitably it gave me the information that you'd think, yeah, wolves could be amazing back in Scotland. It will never happen because the sheep farming community is way too strong and tradition is way too strong to have wolves back in Scotland. It won't happen. Lynx we might get, which would be amazing.
Really?
Wolves.
Is that so? It's like,
yeah, wolves will never be back in Scotland. Like,
so was it
nor
in
would Tottenham
Yellowstone?
Hotspurs or Leicester City.
Was it Yellowstone? They had that area where they reintroduced them.
Probably.
Yeah,
Did you
it
see
didn't go very good, or not, or it did go.
There was
good.
one where it completely changed the landscape. It was like a case study on how
Oh, wow.
wolves changed the landscape, and it was like a barren river section, and then they reintroduced them, and they
Yeah, and it's not because wolves will necessarily eat so many deer that they're fat and bloated and like, oh, I can't fit another one in. Oh,
Yeah.
bugger off. No, I've had enough deer today.
Yeah.
You know, that sort of thing. It's just that wolves keep the deer moving.
Yeah.
If they don't, like the deer that come around our place or stand at my gate, like just be eating there all week, like like that. But if they're wolves, they're always on the move, so nothing gets overgrazed. That sort of thing. But in the meantime, you know, what's currently going on across Europe is that the hunting fraternity, which is mostly like go out and shoot wild boar and deer and this kind of thing, they're pressurizing their governments. They're such strong bodies that they're getting the laws changed certainly in Switzerland. Ludo just told me that they just shot 10 out of the 12 wolves in the wolf pack. Like, because a wolf pack is a family unit. It's usually 2 to 12 kind of in, and then 2 years in, the cubs, they leave and they go and find their own
so
thing.
they shoot them so that they keep the
so that they can
population
have
up.
more things to shoot for themselves, like deer and things. Yeah, it's a funny old world.
It is, isn't it?
You know.
Speaking of funny old world,
Yeah.
we've got a funny old ad going on now. You ready?
Yeah,
3,
yeah,
2,
yeah.
1, we're in. Oh, all right. Guess who's running late again to get to the trailhead to meet my friends and go for a bike ride? That's right, it's this idiot right here. But not to worry, I have a solution for not getting to the trailhead, not been hungry, and been that guy at the bike that's bonked hard because he hasn't prepared for what is to come. And that solution is Huel and the brand new black powder. This is actually mine, and I am actually going riding, and I thought I would actually show you how to make one of these drinks. It's super quick and simple. Here's my shaker. I then get my Huel black powder, so 2 scoops of the good stuff. Let's go. We throw in some water. Doesn't have to be bottled. Doesn't have to be Highland Spring. Doesn't even have to be water. You could use milk if you wanted, which would be probably quite nice. Top on. And then we give her a shake for a few seconds, and that is it. Basically, we have got a full meal. And I'm going to get there and I'm not going to be starving, and I'm not going to be the guy at the back that's bonked. Within black powder, what have you got? It's basically a complete meal, like I said, for less than 3 buckaroos. 40 grams of plant-based protein, so it's good for you vegetarians and you vegans. You've got yourself 27 essential minerals, vitamins, no added sugar, gluten-free, and honestly, it tastes delicious. That's why I'm actually not bothered that I'm skipping breakfast to go for a bike ride. And this is my favourite one, which is chocolate. Okay, look at all of the vitamins and minerals on the back. Look at the length of it. You can't go wrong with black powder. So there it is, I've got that. So this stuff also just launched and I'm stoked. This is so good. All right, it is the new Greens RTD. Just when you thought Huel had it all sorted, they added a new product, and it's amazing. It basically takes out all the powders and vitamin tablets and mineral tablets and all the faff that comes with trying to hit your sort of like greens and your vitamin and mineral goals. It's just now comes in a can. So yeah, no pills, no mess. It's sparkling, it's refreshing, and I'm actually obsessed with it. Like, I really actually like it. My favorite one is this apple, cucumber and mint. They also do this really nice peach and hibiscus. I actually had one of those last night with some ice. Delicious. And they've got blueberry, lemon and thyme. Okay, within here 42 vitamins and minerals. It's basically packed with superfoods. Only 25 calories, 4 grams of fiber, 1 gram of sugar, made by dietitians and ready for whenever you are. For me, it's how I'm starting to kickstart my day, and that's why I've brought these, because I'm going to drink this on the way to the trails, and I'm going to have one of these, and I'm going to be like Loic Bruni today. All right, so if you would like to check out Huel, maybe you've not had it before, maybe you just need an excuse, here is your excuse to get on board the Huel train. Okay, head to huel.com, and whenever it asks you, punch in the code RIDE. Okay, this supports the show and it's going to get you 15% off all Huel products. Your first order, you're going to get a free shaker, you're going to get a free t-shirt as well, so what's not to love about that? Unlock a healthier, easier way to eat with Huel. Nutritionally complete meals in minutes, so you can focus on what really matters: going biking with your mates. And on that note, I'm going biking. Huel.com, punch in the code RIDE, support the show, 15% off. We'll see you out on the trails, and it's time to go biking. Whoa! I've got a good question.
Go on.
Oh, I've said it's good now.
Yeah, you've built it up, haven't you?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You've obviously been in the game for quite a while now.
Steady on terms like
and
that.
you do talks and a bit of mentorship, I guess.
Yeah.
What advice do you give young up-and-coming adventure photographers?
Do something else.
Nice. Leave it for me. It's mine. Get out.
There's no money in it. Destroy your aspirations now. Rid yourself of all dreams. Become an accountant or a nuclear physicist.
There you go. That's the clip.
Seems to be a lot of money in bombs at the moment.
Oh,
go
no.
there.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I don't know. It's changing so fast. I'm a bit of an old dinosaur, you know. I get my free bus pass in Scotland next year.
Nice.
That's how old I am.
Nice.
Do the maths. And I don't know. It's such a dynamic environment. There's a thing called Toki Tick, something like.
I've heard of that.
Something out there. There's a Facebook.
It's actually interesting though. What is your take on all that stuff?
He's got Instagram. Look at him.
Oh, yeah.
Changed me.
Hey, you got Instagram.
I still pay for 9,000 subscribers to my Instagram.
It's not how it works, Dan.
Oh, is it not? I get a bill every month. What are you talking about? Surely. Yeah, it's just a different model.
Right.
It's a different model of doing things, and I'm sure. I mean, there are lads out there. The problem is, it's like digital's so easy, isn't it? Relatively, you can learn so quickly. On film, you had to do all that stuff, and you had to go through it, and it cost you loads, and you wouldn't get your results back, and then you've still got to look at the picture and go, oh, what did I get wrong, and learn from it. Here, you can, and people are so hungry for it as well, which is great. Like, the energy out there is brilliant.
And you can learn like turbocharge fast, can't you? With the internet. There's so much information. And
yeah.
Is there too much information, Dan?
Is there too much information for me to read? I go to bed quite early nowadays.
Nice.
It's like, one page, I'm out, done.
Objectively speaking, is there too much information in your career span?
Well, AI. I mean, where are we going with AI?
Where are
I mean,
you going with AI?
Are we going to do another podcast on this?
Yeah.
Tune in next week.
I'd
We'll
love
be
to
talking
talk
about
AI with Dan Milner. That'd be fantastic podcast. That would.
I wanted to do a cap that said, "Make HI great again." I think it'd be good. Like, make
Human
HI
intelligence.
just made out like the MAGA kind of logo from a distance, and people are like, "Hey, he's a MAGA," you know. And they come over and it says, human intelligence great again. Because there's nothing wrong. Well, I like to think there's nothing wrong with human intelligence. We have got it.
Yeah.
We seem to have been quite good at using it in the past.
They've been misplacing it a little bit.
Yeah, maybe. Just gone off on the wrong footing here and there over the years. But yeah, I don't know if AI is going to challenge the photo taking side of things, really.
Okay.
I think the whole mashup that's going on is just going to, I mean, it might make photos more valuable. It might make them less valuable. I don't know which way that's going to go. I would be more worried if I was relying on as a copywriter right now.
Yeah.
Because I think their days are...
It's a weird thought, the idea of like a pushback to analog. You know, if traditional photography became more popular because it's sort of like it rids you of the worry that it has been changed or altered or in some way. It's a cool thought, isn't it? It's almost like a official contract using a film camera or a...
Yeah.
Yeah, there's only two lots of people out there, aren't there, that know what film is, 35mm. It's either photographers who are over sort of 45 or the people who live in Shoreditch. That's basically it. There is nothing in between. Everybody has like cassette tapes, AD90s, you know, like Shoreditch, yeah. I put in a cassette, I load a roll of film. We're out for the day. Put my Walkman on.
Walkman. Skipping.
Put my Walkman on and my roller skates.
Yeah.
How has your gear changed over the years?
It's got much lighter.
Much lighter,
much better, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like the development of bikes, isn't it? I mean, you look at the bike you're riding now, and you're like,
What are you riding now?
I'm on a Yeti SB 135.
Right.
135. That is the adventure choice, is it?
That's the one's choice.
What's the bike that you would take on like a big wild trip? Is 135
Yeti
literally the
135.
choice because of the... So it's like a shorter
Yeah,
travel.
and the Yeti thing. Like, Yeti's been helping me out with bikes for, 10, 12 years.
Wow.
Since 2000. Since after that Colorado Trail trip in 2008, we borrowed Yeti 575s off them. We picked them up from Yeti and borrowed them for the trip rather than fly our bikes out. Three of us did. And all three of us came back with bikes at the end because those are amazing. And that was a 575, and that's nothing like the bike that today's incarnation, And then within the Yetis, I went up to SB6, which is way too big a gun for me, little old me. I'm just an old cross country dude, aren't I? At the end of the day, you know what I mean? It's like I don't need a 6-inch bike, sort of thing. And then I was on the 140 for a while, but I like smaller wheels.
Right.
I like the 27s, 29s. I find a bit too.
Are you on 27s? Yeah.
Yeah, I am the one out there that's still riding 27s.
Wow.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, but I feel like you've ridden enough stuff to have made your own mind up, haven't you?
Well, I like to think so. I think that's more important. It's like, find what works for you. Just don't go with a marketing blurb. No, stick with the marketing blurb. It's what pays our bills. If it says it's good, it's good. Believe it. Believe the hype. Stick with it. Did I get away with that? Did I get?
Yeah, you got that
Yeah,
one
I
in
got
there.
that one
You got that one in there.
before I
Seamless.
fell into
You I've got a list of questions. I'm so sorry, so I'm
Oh,
just
have you?
rattling them off.
Fire,
yeah.
quick fire.
You've been so many places, and do you get okay? I don't know how to word it. Do you bring back
diseases.
no, close, What are they called?
Souvenirs.
Yes. And what's your most prized souvenir?
Do you know what? I think the only souvenirs I bring back are
Diseases.
either shits, protozoans, intestinal protozoans. I like to collect those. No, it's mostly foods.
Oh, really? Yeah, you
I
bring
might like
different foods
if we're
back.
in Ethiopia. Like Ethiopia's a place where coffee originated, the coffee plant. So, and I hadn't drunk coffee for 10 years before we went to Ethiopia because I got really sick on a trip to Pakistan years ago, 10 years before that. And after coming back and getting cured from that, every time I drank coffee, I got really bad stomach cramp. So I just stopped drinking coffee.
Yeah.
And 10 years. And then when we were in Ethiopia, and the American dudes were with us, they're like, every morning, they make the cook guy will make a coffee for them because they just love their coffee. And they do this thing where they actually have the beans. They have a fire. They put the beans in a little frying pan and they cook them there and then, dry roast them like that. Then they put them in mortar and pestle and grind it up. And then they pour that in the thing and they make the coffee. It takes flipping ages. I mean, the Americans were fidgeting. They're like, dude, can we just get it to go? Man, I was going to sit in, but this is going to have to be like, leave the carob sprinkles, dude. It's not happening. But so the last day I thought, right, I can't risk it before this because I get stomach cramp. But the last day I'm going to try this coffee. And it was absolutely amazing.
Oh, wow.
And I came back with like about 2 kilos of like finest Ethiopian brown. It's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
getting that
I
through
like
the
that.
airport at the end. So yeah, it's often just food things
yeah?
I bring back.
Right.
Yeah, a bit of a foodie kind of thing. Oh,
I bring back rocks.
rocks.
Yeah, but the problem is I forget.
How do you get them up there?
Let's move on. It doesn't matter anymore. Next question, Davey.
Oh dear. Okay, I wrote down, looking back 30 years, what surprises you most in yourself and in the industry? And if you could go back to your younger self, what would you say?
Oh,
That's a good podcast question, isn't it?
blimey.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh my God.
We're not just show, you know.
Can you repeat it again?
I can try. You ready?
He's packs in 2 questions in every question, doesn't he? He's clever like this. Like, we talked about this earlier, didn't we? It doesn't mean you get paid twice.
I know. Like mountain bike Terry Wogan. Looking back,
Tezza.
yeah, looking back 30 years, what surprises you most in yourself and in the industry? And if you could go back to tell yourself one thing, what would you say?
I think probably within the industry, I didn't anticipate like how mountain biking it's mainstream, and this is a mad thing.
Yeah.
There's probably not that many households. Well, there probably are, but relatively, there's probably not too many households in the country that don't have a mountain bike tucked away in there somewhere of all sorts of like quality or whatever. So people are out riding them. They might be out with their kids or whatever, but it's still seen as a fringe sport, right? This is a big gripe. I did an interview piece with a magazine recently, a photography magazine, sports photography magazine, and that was my whole thing was based around how it's still not seen as a mainstream sport by the mainstream, even though everybody's writing mainstream sports things or covering it in newspapers or World Press Photo Awards or whatever. No, their niece, their nephew, whoever rides a mountain bike.
Yeah.
They might even go riding with them every weekend over around Woburn Sands Woods or whatever. But it's still just fringe. And if you try and enter photos into any of these competitions, think about the photography of mountain biking. How many good, the photographers out there, Sterling Lawrence, people like this, the kind of images they're taking are mind-blowingly creative stuff that can take days to set up, or they might just capture that moment in a race or whatever it is. But yeah, they never win awards.
Why
with
do you
that.
think?
Because it's still just categorized in that 90s extreme sport thing,
Yeah.
which doesn't connect. They don't think it connects with the readership. And it's the same, I think, we've got into a trap there with adventure film festivals or adventure outdoor festivals where, say, Kendall, for example, so we can have, a lot of my talks, I love Kendall. They do a great job. They have 20,000 people come through that festival every year. Absolutely all of them leave buzzing their tits off. Just what a weekend, right? But I think they got into a trap where they anything they present about cycling mainstream has to be the same old story of somebody riding from Kathmandu to London in their gap year, you know, and they made a film of it, and it's repeated again and again. And then you've got people like me who are like properly pushing where mountain biking has gone, quite literally around the world, and we just get like a little corner stage on the free stage at lunchtime with 20 people sitting in the audience, sort of thing. I'm not saying I've over
but
generalized.
Do you think some of it is that people look at it and think biking shouldn't be there? Like if you took like let's just say an image which, like you say, is breathtaking. The subject is a bike. Replace that with hiker. Does that get more, the same?
Well, it's got more connection, hasn't it? It has a potentially a bigger audience.
I'm just trying to think of, you know, the conversations we have even around the Peak District of bikes ruin that hill. They've ruined that hill, and you're like, not really.
No,
like it's the thousands of walkers probably going up there.
We've been the scapegoat, haven't we?
Yeah.
For trail damage.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that's a whole other.
Another podcast. We'll do that, and then we'll do the AI one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we were on AI.
I do agree though, and you never quite understand it, do you? Yeah, people like there's areas of forestry, people kick up fuss. Like literally, I'm not talking about people not wanting to get sued for someone coming off on their bike. I'm talking about people walking in the woods, kicking up fuss about trails, and then you see the machines come in and take down all the trees, and you think, I think one was slightly. I think the trail seemed quite nice in comparison.
Had slightly less impact what we were doing through that forest until they harvested it.
Yeah, I understand that they're going to get harvest and private land and all of that, but it's like there's just something villainous about riding a bike down a swoopy trail. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's places. I think with another thing that I've changed my mind about. I don't think we should just be going building trails anywhere we want. Like we say, our kind of nature thing is under such pressure already. We need these places protected, and we need to take responsibility. And I think that's just a reflection of this sort of yeehaw attitude to like, woo, I can just ride a bike anywhere and I'm just charging down a mountain and whooping and it doesn't matter, nothing else matters. It's like I don't know about that. It's like we used to heli ski, you know, years ago. I'd get dropped off to shoot these projects in Alaska and helicopter everywhere, and it's like, oh my God, these things burn like 1,000 liters of fuel an hour sort of thing, and we're just flying around and complaining that the snow isn't good enough. Like, what planet are we on? So
it's such a conundrum though, isn't it? Because you do sort of think about even some of the trails that you've been and ridden. It's like you're saying it's possible to ride them, but don't come en masse and ride. You know what I mean? Yeah. I've ridden this amazing thing, but I don't want everyone to come.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's really difficult.
Yeah.
I struggle with that because I build
and
trails,
again, it's the
and
social
I don't want
media
everyone
thing
to come and ride the trails. But
or
fair.
There needs to be that structure where people are volunteering to come and do the maintenance and the repair.
Yeah.
But the trail, the nature of it will change the different riders. That's the thing. It depends what your trail is for and who it's.
Yeah.
You know, the natural footpath thing. I mean, it's a minefield.
It is.
Yeah.
It's got to be respectable.
Yeah, it is really difficult. I remember even going Chamonix with you, and then I went back the other day, and the bike park's developed a lot since I was last there. I don't even remember if there was a lift or not in Le Tour.
Yeah,
there was a lift. We got up the lift
first time. Yeah, that was a while ago, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. And I went back to the same trail, but it was really like quite heavily used compared to when we went and rode it.
Yeah, it's. I mean, Chamonix is really busy with riders. Not like Morsey, and it's a different style of thing, but just the locals, the number of locals, and now with e-bikes, you know, people don't need the lift. So the shoulder season, when that lift shuts in September, they can keep going up and lapping these things fairly easily now. And they're getting so much traffic. Some of the trails I rode a couple of weeks ago when I was back there were just my local loop that I used to go and ride just that quick hour out the door and back. I was like, wow, this is so hammered. It's just had so much traffic down it. And that's got to be just the e-bike thing. People just scoot up that hill so quickly.
And the popularity thing as well.
Yeah,
if you compare it to when you first started, I mean,
1920.
it really was fringe.
Yeah. we were coming down it on penny farthings to start with. They were quite awkward.
Yeah,
Once
but
you dismounted, getting back on a penny farthing was a pain quite literally a pain in the bum.
penny farthings aren't that good because you can go over the bars easily and you can loop out easily, I would imagine.
Yeah. Backflips are quite good for backflips.
Are they?
I think so.
Tune in next week to a backflip on a penny farthing by Dan Milner. We'll get it set up outside.
Oh, man.
I mean, I've got loads of annoying questions, but I feel like,
Oh, it's been absolutely amazing.
it's been, yeah.
What's next and where can people find
Yeah.
you? 2 questions in one. Did it again. Boom.
I know.
Hold on, Terry.
You guys, you're just ricocheting them around. What's next? Well, I'm actually doing one big trip this year, one big international trip, and that's Bhutan in November.
Wow.
Back to Bhutan.
Amazing.
So that's with Yeti for the international gathering. And then I'm coming back through India and having 2 weeks of just going wildlife watching in India for 2 weeks in Kerala.
Wildlife
Very
watching.
Yeah, just into my wildlife.
Nice.
Just go to Kerala, go and see some bats.
You got anything on
Fruit
your
bats.
list going there that you're excited about? Genuinely.
About the wildlife?
Yeah.
Well, no, you can often think, all right, I want to see a tiger, but actually you don't want to see a tiger, do you? I mean, you just don't
Not that
want to see a
close,
tiger. Not unless you're got glass between you or something like that. Or it's had all its teeth taken out, something like that. I don't know.
There's a trail. You know Boris Bayer, the photographer,
Yeah.
in Wuppertal, and he said we're going to see a tiger on this ride, and he's quite a wacky guy, and I was just like, all right, cool, man. And you ride over this bridge that goes over the zoo, but you're in exactly like firing range of a tiger, and I promise you, it locks on and it watches you. That it's like apex predator eyes. You're in
looking
exact
dinner.
range where it's like your stalking range.
Are you like one of those sort of like sushi things in a Japanese restaurant that you're
It's
just going through its
exactly
pen
what I
on a
felt like.
conveyor
Anyone
belt?
who's ridden there, because
Yeah.
I'm sure he takes people on the same loop and probably says the same thing. I would if there was a tiger on
Yeah.
my local ride.
Yeah.
But you watch it; it just watches you go across, and you're like, "Oh man, I'm a useless human."
I'd be tempted to nudge you off and give it a go, right? So yeah, that's next. And where do you find me? Instagram, Dan Milner photo. That's it for my sins. Instagram and my website, danmilner.com.
Dan, it's been
Been
absolutely
fascinating.
fantastic.
Really has, yeah. Thank you so much for coming down.
Thanks
and
for
hanging out.
allowing me to waffle incessantly.
Nah, dude,
Perfect.
I'd love
So
to do.
long.
Well, I could do back to back more with you right now.
Okay,
And,
ready for the next 4 hours.
You got to come back on, dude. We got so much more to talk about, no doubt.
Well, I'll come down with me free bus pass.
please
next
do.
year.
You should
Please
come on
do.
after the next trip. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Talk about it and
Yeah.
use it as a way to promote it and stuff. You know,
Sounds
it's
good.
kind of what we're good for.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers, Dan.
That was ace.
Dan Milner. Oh, thanks for listening, watching. Peace and love.
Like and subscribe. Mate, what an episode.
Brilliant. I thought you were really great, Davey.
Mate, and I thought you were even better.
Thanks, dude.
Better
Thanks,
than
dude.
normal.
Oh, cheers.
Hey, how about we tell our lovely podcast community to hit subscribe here.
Yeah,
Click on the video on Ollie's face.
that's right.
Click on the video on my face.
Yeah.
And follow us at The Ride Companion on Instagram.
They can like and comment as well.
Please do.
I'm going to try and get this energy and I'm going to bring it into next week.
Let's fast forward to next week's episode.
Done.